Annie Fry, Ryan Wiggins, Brad Rain.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
For goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's.
On 97.1 FM Talk.
I hope the New York Times is reading their own coverage, because they themselves could stand to have a little bit more patriotism, a little bit more pro-Team USA, and that's what it's all about at the end of the day. Look, the midterm elections began last night. President Trump hitting the ground running. It's got time to keep the momentum going. Turning Point and Turning Point Action are absolutely going to be there every single step of the way between now and November.
Jack Posobiec, of course, one of the figureheads behind getting the alternate programming for the Super Bowl halftime show. That was a great show. We talked quite a bit about that. But he was weighing in on President Trump's State of the Union address, and he says something there that we're going to talk about today. He said that the midterms started with the State of the Union. Now, we're asking you that question on the Annie Fry YouTube live chat poll for today. Predict the 2026 midterm outcomes. Do you think the Republicans hold both majorities? They've got them right now. Very, very, very slim majority in the House of Representatives. The Senate, a little bit more comfortable in the Senate because the map very much favors Republicans this November. So I think the likelihood is, I would probably venture to say that it is likely that the Democrats are able to take the House. You get a midterm election in especially a second term year. People want to push back against the power structure that is in the White House, and people are motivated to go and vote against who is currently in power. So that's the way history generally predicts that these things will go. But that's not guaranteed. And if you listen to what Jack Posobiec says right there, that the midterms began with the State of the Union, and yesterday we had a 91% say that it was sufficient to excellent, the speech that he gave at the State of the Union, you got to ask yourself, do the Democrats have what it takes to earn that majority in the House? Do you feel as though the Republicans are going to hold both majorities in the House and the Senate? You think the Dems win the House, the Dems win the Senate, or the Dems take both? Now, you and I both know that if the Democrats take the House, that impeachment proceedings start on day one. There will be no hesitation whatsoever for the Democrats to go straight to that process. They're ready to do it right now. They have no hesitation whatsoever. It will be the culmination of the commitment that I assure you that they will take as we get towards the midterms. The campaign to win those seats in the House going into that midterm election is going to be, listen, if you put us in the House, if you give us that majority in the House of Representatives and we take the Republicans out of the power seat, we're going to impeach him. So if that's what they're going to do to sell the American people on the idea of giving the Democrats a chance to have a little more control in the House of Representatives, they're going to have to make good on it. Here's George Conway, who is really quite a figure, talking to Chuck Todd on the Chuck Todd cast.
This isn't a political calculus, okay? I get it. In 2019, there was a lot of, between Nadler and Pelosi and all the dynamics in the Democratic caucus about whether to impeach the guy, how much to impeach him on, and how quick the trial should be. Look, I get politics plays some, these are political branches. But at the end of the day, with what's going on here and now, it's no longer a question of political calculus. It's a moral and legal and constitutional obligation of Congress to do this.
Well, let's make the other argument.
I think it would be a violation of the oath of office for a member of Congress not to push for impeachment when it is.
Okay, so enough of that. The Chuck Todd cast. You see what he did there, Ethan? Because Todd sounds like pod.
Oh, that makes sense.
It's very clever. So is that what the Democrats' commitment is going to be? The Democrats are going to go into the midterm saying, elect us, we'll impeach him. Folks, do you understand the impeachment process, right? I've got a ton of stuff to talk to Hans von Spakovsky about in 10 minutes from right now. Hans von Spakovsky, our constitutional legal expert that we have on every Thursday, First and foremost, we're going to talk about Susie Wiles, Kash Patel, finding out that the FBI was listening in on their phone calls. Folks, I'm going to give the floor to Hans to explain what was going on here, but Susie Wiles, who's the chief of staff to the president of the United States, was a campaign manager for him before that. Listen to this. Susie Wiles had phone calls tapped with her lawyer, and the lawyer knew it was happening, and she didn't. What? I have a lot of questions. Fortunately, we have an expert to answer those here at 12:18. But I'm also going to ask him about the big news of the day. Hillary Clinton in Chappaqua testifying to the House oversight on Epstein file stuff. She has said, and initially they went into the meeting, it's not usual for the House to travel to where the person is that they want to depose, but it's Hillary Clinton, former Secretary of State. Tomorrow is President Bill Clinton's time to shine, and so they've gone to Chappaqua. They've gone to where they are. People can argue the merits on that. I don't really think it matters as long as they're getting the information, getting the opportunity to ask the questions that they want to ask of these individuals under oath. My understanding is that the transcripts will be made available of these conversations, so the public will be able to find out. The Clintons really were pushing hard for it to be a public hearing, and the oversight said no. So we're going to ask Hans von Spakovsky about that as well. So you've got the Biden FBI spying on Susie Wiles and Kash Patel. You've got the Clintons in front of the Oversight Committee answering questions on the Epstein files. But you also have these midterms that are creeping up on us. It's going to be here before you know it, but we've got a whole spring, a whole summer, an entire Cardinals baseball season in between when the midterms happen and this moment right now. So we got a lot of time, a lot of positivity, a lot of things to enjoy before we get to those midterms. Come hell or high water, lots of good things to take in as well. The Democrats win the House, though. They're going to impeach the president. He's already been impeached twice. What's another time? Understand that the impeachment process, if you're unfamiliar, if you shiver at the thought of having to listen to people talk about impeachment once again, the House impeaches and the Senate convicts. So the House essentially decides whether or not charges should be levied against the person who's being impeached. Of course, it'll be Donald Trump once again. So being impeached is kind of like saying you've been charged. Formally, officially charged. And then it goes to the Senate and they have a hearing. And then the Senate has to have my understanding is, off the top of my head, 2/3 majority in order to remove that person from office. Incredibly high bar to clear. And the president has been essentially charged twice by the House, which is the impeachment, and found not to be worthy of removal twice already, with the already, air quotes, terrible things that they think that he's done. So the George Conways of the world, what are they offering you going into the midterms? Elect us, elect Democrats, we'll impeach the president. I mean, that in and of itself is such a waste of taxpayer dollars, such a waste of the time that they have in there. You've got these same Democrats who are telling you right now, they shut the government down. How many people listening right now didn't get a paycheck for however long that initial government shutdown was last year? And what did they shut the government down for? Healthcare. They shut the whole thing down because the Affordable Care Act, which they had to subsidize in the early 2020s because it was, what would you say, not affordable. You have the Democrats who have had to subsidize the already subsidized healthcare system that they forced fed the entire United States. And they said the whole time they were passing it, this is not a tax, this is not a tax, this is not a tax. Goes to the Supreme Court and they say, the Affordable Care Act is constitutional because it's a tax. So, yes, you get 10 years later, the Democrats have to subsidize it once again because it is, in fact, unaffordable. And in the process of doing all of that, they make it so that those subsidies expire in 3 years, and then they shut the government down because the Affordable Care Act remains unaffordable. Democrats are going to get the House of Representatives in November. If George Conway has his say here, they're going to get it. And the first thing they're going to do is run to impeachment. And when you're watching the State of the Union and the Democrats cannot stand up because they don't believe that it's their actual primary responsibility to look after the American citizen, you're like, well, this all makes sense. This is what they stand for. I've been thinking about whether or not this is the sitting down for that moment is the colossal political error that a lot of people, of course, a lot of the people I listen to who are right-leaning or, falling forward right on their face, not leaning anymore because they're all the way in. I might be one of those people. But I've been thinking to myself, like, gosh, there's a lot of people trying to make a lot of political hay out of the people sitting down. Is it that big of a deal? And I've actually, upon thinking about it, I actually think it's worse than I initially thought it was. Because you want to stand up in that moment? Donald Trump looked you square in the eyes and challenged you. He dared you to stay seating. And because you hate Trump more than anything else, you stay seated. Because the only thing you could think about, you were so blinded by your derangement syndrome of this man that's standing in front of you that it's not even just. The president almost kind of offered a hand there. Said, do you prioritize the American citizen over the illegal immigrant? Stand up. As if it were a binary choice. It's either American citizens or illegal immigrants. If you have a true north, it's got to be one of those two things. Which is it? And the Democrats, this is how stupid they were on Tuesday night. They could have stood. They could have held their hands behind their back and not applauded. They could have stood very sternly and not cheered, but they could have stood just for the sake of the nuance that actually would be involved in the argument of, well, I think what's best for the American people and the American citizens is a softer landing for the illegal immigrant. I don't believe that personally myself, but these people do. If they believe, let's just be incredibly generous with our understanding of why they couldn't say that they wouldn't prioritize the American citizen over the illegal immigrant. Let's just be super emotionally generous with our interpretation of why that is. Because they want to be welcoming to these people. We're a nation built on immigrants. All the things, all the warm, fuzzy things. You can stand in that moment and defy the president's challenge, the president's dare to stay seated. You can stand in that moment, and then you can argue the nuance later when people say, the president told you to stand and you stood, and now you don't prioritize the American citizen over the illegal immigrant. And then they tell you why. The reporter or whoever tells you why they think that. And then you argue the point because it's really based on nuance, isn't it? It's really based on context. You could really very easily come out and say it's not an either or question. You could argue that if that's really the point that you were trying to make the American people. But not only did those Democrats together say that they wouldn't prioritize the American citizen over the illegal immigrant. They said that they will prioritize among every other issue, policy, challenge that they're faced with, they will prioritize their disgust for Donald Trump over everything. They'll prioritize it over the illegal immigrant because it was more important for them to show up Donald Trump in a moment, in a flash, in just a split second. It was more important to show up Donald Trump right there. You're going to dare me to do this? Well, I'm going to sit down. They didn't think it through. They're not calm and collected. They're emotional and irrational. And the president exposed that. That's why he points at him and says, these people are crazy. They're not thinking about anything because they're only emotionally reacting to a visceral, deep-seated hatred that they have for one man and one man only. So don't tell me in your generosity, in your compassion, don't sit here and tell me that you're for the illegal immigrant and the American citizen, because actually what it boils down to is you are for you. The Democrats are for themselves, and they define themselves, the Democrat Party defines themselves as being the collection of the power of the multitudes of Trump hate. They come together to worship at the altar of hating Donald Trump, and that's the beginning and the end of the conversation. They're not for illegal immigrants. They're not for making a world that's safer here for people who want to flee their drug-ridden countries. There isn't a generosity of emotion and heart on your sleeve that we should afford these people because it's not accurate. Maybe some of the people who didn't show up, maybe some of those people could have made that argument, but they weren't there to do it. They took their ball and went home. So I actually think them sitting down was way worse than I even initially interpreted. we'll see how it affects the midterms. Go vote in the YouTube live chat poll. You can text us at 314-241-9797. That's 314-241-9797. React there as well. Hans von Spakovsky, when we come back on the FBI tapping of Susie Wiles, Kash Patel, the Epstein files, and impeachment. It's a lot to get through. Hans, next.
I changed my calls, but my definition of change just ain't the same. I'm gonna sit around here.
When you enter a place of business, you're owed a legal duty that the place of business is safe for you to shop in. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you suffered an injury at a place of business, our duty is to protect you after that harm. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.com.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
Honey, he says we're in legal trouble and we're going to lose our retirement. We have to get to a crypto ATM now.
This can't be right.
It's not right. I'm Attorney General Catherine Hanaway. We've received reports of devastating new scams involving crypto ATMs.
Let's report this.
We're here to help. Report suspected fraud at 800-392-8222 or visit ago.mo.gov.
Sponsored by the Missouri Attorney General's Office.
It's time for you to get to know my friends at Lit Cigar Lounge in Chesterfield, where luxury meets comfort. Mark Cox here. They have a great selection of rare bourbons, whiskeys, craft cocktails, anything you like to drink, cold beer, premium hand-rolled cigars from the finest makers in the world, even private lockers that are available if you choose to. Perfect for date nights or business meetings, and live music every Friday night. Family owned and operated. Check them out in Chesterfield at the District. It's litstl.com.
Rhino Shield is far superior to even the best traditional exterior house paint. Rhino Shield is 8 to 10 times thicker than paint and comes with a 25-year transferable warranty. Rhino Shield is the only ceramic coating company that has been chosen by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where every episode is concentrated on unpainted brick, bonds and seals to stucco, wood, hardy, block, color lock, masonite, and more. No better product for those steel aluminum-sided homes that have become, chalky and tired looking. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. After 15 years, we've got a great reputation and a superior product. As long as it's affordable, why wouldn't you do it? Before you make the costly mistake of painting with traditional paint, you'd be best served to call Rhino Shield today. We are the experts and our evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Tell them, ladies.
No paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
You've been listening to the very popular Wellness One for many years, Saturdays and Sundays on 97.1 FM Talk. We're happy to share that we've expanded the show to 4 times a week. Yes, 4 times every weekend. Saturday at 10 a.m., Saturday at 8 p.m., Sunday at 9 a.m., and Sunday at 2 p.m. It's the same great show designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you a common sense, science-based strategy for a healthy life. So join TJ and Aaron for Wellness One. Now 4 times a week on 97.1 FM Talk.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
This is the Annie Fry Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
FBI Director Kash Patel out with an allegation that the prior FBI obtained his phone records, and not only his. What can you tell us about that?
Brett, this has been breaking in the last hour or so. We are told that, according to Kash Patel, the FBI director, the prior bureau leadership obtained his phone records and phone records to current White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles back in 2022 and 2023. This eventually led into the Jack Smith special counsel investigation into then former President Donald Trump. We're told that some of these records are just toll records, which don't have specific information other than times and dates. They don't have the actual actual content of calls, but two sources in the FBI say that Susie Wiles' attorney agreed to be recorded by FBI agents in 2023. She did not agree. We've reached out to her for comment. FBI Director Patel, in a statement to Fox News, calls this outrageous and deeply disturbing. And I will add, Brett, that we are told at least 10 Bureau employees have been fired just today over this incident, with more potentially to come.
We the people of the United States,
more perfect,
pure form of our perfect union.
National legal expert Hans von Spakovsky.
And our friend Hans von Spakovsky back with us right now, Advancing American Freedom Senior Legal Fellow. Hans, welcome back. Happy Thursday.
Well, thanks, and it's great to talk to you again.
Yep, you as well. What did you think when you've heard this story coming out? The FBI subpoenaed phone records. Trump's chief of staff, then campaign manager, I believe, including Susie Wiles and including Kash Patel, have found out that they've been a part of this sort of supervision, if you will, from the Biden FBI. What should Americans know about what the Biden FBI was up to?
Well, I can't say I'm surprised, but I'm no less shocked. Look, the FBI, the Biden administration, were using the authority of the FBI. The FBI is the most powerful law enforcement agency in the United States, and they were using it to go after a political opponent. People need to keep in mind two things. One, they had no basis for a criminal investigation. The entire criminal investigation against Trump and the folks who worked for him and were associated with him was based on the idea that he was engaged in some kind of criminal wrongdoing in questioning the outcome of the 2020 election. Look, keep in mind, it doesn't matter whether those claims were legitimate or not. He had a First Amendment right to question the outcome of the election. Every candidate has that right. The public has that right. And to turn that into a criminal case was just outrageous. Second, keep in mind, all of this led into the criminal investigation, criminal indictment by who? Jack Smith, right? The special counsel. Remember, Jack Smith's case was thrown out by a judge in Florida, Judge Cannon. Why? Because he was unlawfully appointed. He never had the authority to even start conducting investigation because his appointment was unlawful. And Annie, I assume you saw just a week or so ago, Judge Cannon issued another order. She was very upset because even though she had declared that he was unlawfully appointed, he didn't have the authority to be working at the Justice Department to do this investigation, he kept working on a special report that he was going to release. And Annie, the judge said, I'm sealing that order, and in fact, you should not have continued to work on this when I said you didn't have the legal authority to do it. That shows the absolute arrogance of Jack Smith.
We're speaking with Hans von Spakovsky right now. Now, Hans, I'm going to show my age here a little bit. Watergate happened between 1972 and 1974, according to a quick Google search. That was 10 years before I was walking the face of the planet. I was probably walking a little bit later than when I showed up. But I've heard people suggest that this is what we're dealing with right now, what we're finding out, probably the culminating issues we're finding out about what the Biden Justice Department was doing is worse than Watergate. I need a little context for that, and you can blow that out of the water and say not even close. But are we talking about the same kinds of things, the Nixon 70s Watergate scandal and what the Biden administration was doing to the Trump campaign and presidency?
This is much worse. Because remember, the Watergate conspiracy was several people working for Richard Nixon, apparently without his knowledge, trying to plant wiretaps in the DNC headquarters in Washington. They weren't using the FBI. They weren't using the Justice Department to do any of this. These were just people working for the president and people who've been associated with his campaign. This is the use of official government law enforcement agencies to go after a political opponent. It's much worse. Oh, and by the way, remember, one of the things that came out was that Susie Wiles' lawyer agreed to let the FBI record a conversation with his client. That is so unethical. I have to tell you, that lawyer should be disbarred for allowing that, and the FBI had no right to do that, because even a criminal defendant, somebody who's actually been charged, they have complete confidentiality when they're speaking to their lawyer. And I'm just astonished that a lawyer would agree to that. He should be disbarred for that behavior.
Seems, I don't know. I mean, that I guess would take away his career, but it seems like that's not enough punishment for the setup that it seems as though is constantly the story. Hans, you know this as much as anyone, but the story never goes the other way. It's always the manipulation of the resources, the power at hand of the left when they have the power, when they're in the office, and the subterfuge of their opponent in these back room, back basement, dirty kinds of ways. And, you know, I don't know if you feel this way, but I know a lot of my listeners feel like they hear this and it just becomes annoying because nobody thinks anything's going to come of it.
Well, yeah, although, look, the news reports say that at least 10 individuals, 10 agents at the FBI have been fired. That's exactly what should happen. No one should be working for the government who would misuse a position of power, because that's what you have when you're a government bureaucrat. No one who would misuse that authority should be working for the government. And these people not only should be fired, they should never, ever be eligible to get another job with the government again.
I mean, you want to tap Susie Wiles' phone, Kash Patel's phone. They weren't in power. It was the Biden Justice Department. What were they trying? Is this entrapment? Were they looking for a crime? Were they looking for something that would lead them to something that they could frame them for? Like, what was their goal?
They were looking for a crime. That's exactly what they were doing. This is
to keep Trump from being elected.
Yes.
I mean, like that's the end game, right? Is to keep Trump out of power.
Yeah, and look, there are Democrats who have apparently admitted that that's what they wanted to do. They were willing to, in essence, use any tool of the government, any power of the government, to prevent him for running for election again and winning. Let's not forget, we had a case go all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court to keep him even off the ballot. They didn't want people to even be able to have the choice of voting for him. Several states said we're not going to allow him to be on the ballot. And the only reason he was able to run for president was because the Supreme Court voted 9-0 that states could not do that. I mean, thank goodness the court ruled the right way in that case. Otherwise, he would not have gotten elected, even if the people wanted him to be elected.
Hans, let's think here just a little bit about, what we know. But of course, we don't know 100% of what the Justice Department was willing to do. I wonder what percent we actually do know. If we've scratched the surface, tip of the iceberg, all of that, of what they were willing to do to try to undermine and frame Donald Trump before he successfully ran again for the presidency. Is it mind-blowing to you that they have gone to such great lengths to spy on President Trump and anybody they could in his orbit? And he's still clean. They didn't get him for anything.
No, I think this is one of the most dangerous developments in all of American history. This kind of, I don't think we've ever before seen this kind of abusive use of the powers of government to go after a political opponent. This is the kind of thing that's done in third world banana republics.
Yeah.
That is not supposed to happen in the U.S. And by the way, Annie, remember, the story said that, according to Kash Patel, they had trouble even finding the files that showed that this had been done because they were apparently classified in a way to try to hide them at the FBI.
Yeah. It's like when your kid hides the cookies in their bedroom because they know that they're not supposed to have them in there.
Right.
It's kind of like that. That's how I relate to things.
Right.
I want to ask you before we let you go, Hans, about Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton today and tomorrow testifying in front of, I think, Oversight Committee, looking into their connection to the Epstein files. Your thoughts on this development that they are going to sit down and have this conversation with the House of Representatives members?
Well, look, I seriously doubt we're going to get anything spectacular out of it, because I have no doubt that Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton are just going to deny, I can't remember, no, I didn't do that. I mean, does anybody expect any kind of different response from them?
Yeah.
They have on so many different occasions lied. In fact, remember, President Clinton, when over the whole Monica Lewinsky thing, it was discovered that he had committed perjury, and he lost his law license for a while in Arkansas because he had lied under oath about what had happened. So I don't expect any kind of truth to come out of discussions with them.
Yeah, I can only think, I don't know about Hillary Clinton said she's never really met with Jeffrey Epstein. She said she has met Ghislaine Maxwell. Bill Clinton's got some questionable photographs, though. So I'm wondering if you put those in front and ask for some context. You can't be like, I don't know. Or maybe you can't. I don't know. I've never been in that position.
Yeah, but how many times do you think he's going to say, I don't recall?
Yeah. Every time his lawyer can get him to say it. That's probably what
Exactly right.
That's probably it. Hans, we are so grateful for you. Thank you for being with us. Lots to discuss, and we'll have you back soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. Hans von Spakovsky, Advancing American Freedom, Senior Legal Fellow, former FEC Commissioner, former DOJ lawyer as well. On X at H. Von Spakovsky. All right. Ryan Wiggins is out for just today. He'll be back tomorrow. He has a family event that he needs to attend to, and so we will welcome him back tomorrow. But when we come back in, we've got Ethan's America, so stick around for that. Things people have stopped buying because they're officially too expensive. It's pretty much everything. But we'll get some specifics from Ethan when we come back. Don't go away. HomeShieldFoundationRepairs.com. Ethan has some high standards on this show here. Home Shield Foundation Repairs, Matt Hayes' company. Now he's got a great team, a great staff to help solve that foundation concern that you have. Some of the problems that they come to fix are like, holy crap, this is really scary. I wish you would have called us sooner because we could have maybe managed this in a way that would keep it from getting as bad as it is. But I'm talking to you folks who have that compromise in your basement right now, and you know it needs to be looked at. Maybe a little moisture started to get into it. Home Shield Foundation Repair. They are going to help you make sure that it doesn't become a big, big ordeal. Now, all you got to do is call 314-271-9900, 314-271-9900, and Matt Hayes and his team will scope it out. They'll take a look at what you're dealing with so that you can have a full understanding of how they can provide you a solution to your problem. And when you get that basement waterproofed with Home Shield Foundation Repair, they're going to support it with a lifetime warranty. So you're going to know that it's going to the job's going to get done right the first time. And if it's anything comes up after the fact, they're going to come back and make sure that it is right. Call them at 314-271-9900, 314-271-9900 for your foundation repair needs. It's Home Shield Foundation Repair. Online at HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com.
The ACA Market Plan has just announced significant increases on their monthly premiums for 2026, with deductibles over $10,000. You can enroll with Greg Hammond's free plans now. You don't have to wait. One of their plans lets you use any doctor, has zero outpatient deductibles, and it's 30 to 60% lower than most Obamacare plans. Other options are full coverage PPOs with national networks, copays, and 100% annual preventative care. Also, there's no income disclosure required, so no potential tax penalties. If you pay for your own health insurance, you're uninsured, you're on COBRA, or your employer coverage is just too expensive, call Greg, and they'll provide all available options. Call 314-794-7784. That's 314-794-7784. Or go to greghammonds.com. That's greghammonds.com. He can custom design a plan managed and chosen by you. not the government.
Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS like Mark?
I've been doing home remodeling for 30 plus years, but the economy crashed. I wound up losing my home, losing my job, and on top of that, owing the IRS a ton of money. I owed the IRS $114,000. It really, truly was the worst part of my life.
Then Mark found tax relief advocates.
On news radio, I heard about TRA, and I thought, what's the worst that could happen? So I picked up the phone and I called them. When it was all said and done, TRA settled my $114,000 debt for $100, and I'm telling you, I was ecstatic. Could not believe it. Would recommend TRA to anyone.
If you owe 10 or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS, don't lose hope. Do what Mark did and call TRA for a consultation.
But TRA did. They gave me a second chance, and I'm forever grateful.
Visit TRA.com or call 800-491-9914. 800-491-9914. That's 800-491-9914. Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS like Mark?
I've been doing home remodeling for 30 plus years, but the economy crashed. I wound up losing my home, losing my job, and on top of that, owing the IRS a ton of money. I owed the IRS $114,000. It really, truly was the worst part of my life.
Then Mark found tax relief advocates.
On news radio, I heard about TRA, and I thought, what's the worst that could happen? So I picked up the phone and I called them. When it was all said and done, TRA settled my $114,000 debt for $100, and I'm telling you, I was ecstatic. Could not believe it. Would recommend TRA to anyone.
If you owe 10 or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS, don't lose hope. Do what Mark did and call TRA for a consultation.
But TRA did. They gave me a second chance, and I'm forever grateful.
Visit TRA.com or call 800-491-9914. 800-491-9914. That's 800-491-9914.
Law enforcement is a sickness that has not led to safe communities.
Opponents of this law are preying upon fear of change to lie and fearmonger.
JB and BJ are the liars and the fearmongers. They are the sickness that is killing Illinois and Illinoisans. They give sanctuary to foreign predators and sanction to domestic repeat offenders while vilifying the police. A Cook County study found 74% of criminal defendants failed to show up to court after being released under Pritzker's Safety Act. Listen to this suburban police chief.
I don't call it the Safety Act, I call it the Unsafety Act, because that's what it is. I'm still waiting for somebody to explain to me where does safety come in. Who are we keeping safe here when you call it the Safety Act?
Not you. I will repeal Pritzker's purge law and end JB and BJ's killing spree before it hits you. I'm Ted Dabrowski, your conservative candidate for governor, and I'm asking for your vote in the Republican primary on March 17th. Paid for by Ted for Illinois.
Today's YouTube live chat poll. Predict the 2026 midterm outcomes. We have four options. Option number 1, GOP holds both majorities. Number 2, Dems win the House. Number 3 is Democrats win the Senate. And then the fourth option, Democrats win both the House and the Senate. Please comment your thoughts on the Annie Fry Show live stream today. We have several different comments. This one coming from Joe. It says, Dems take the House because the middle is dumb and pliable and believe memes are news. Wow. Joe going all in on the middle of the alley people there. Let's see, what else do we have? Betsy saying GOP stays both, finally starting to feel better about. I wonder how much the State of the Union had to do with Betsy feeling better about those. But go ahead and share your thoughts on the YouTube live stream, and then as well on our text line. You can text 314-241-9797 to get your thoughts in, and we'll share those on air. The time is 12:42. This time check sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
JerryKelly.com. Annie Fry is St. Louis conservative.
All right, I know this music makes everybody feel like Ryan Wiggins is coming in, but you're going to be disappointed. Yeah, but we got Brad back in the studio, who's been sick all week. You're still a little sick. You're still off the microphone, though. Yell really, really loud.
I'm yelling
Ethan's
as loud
learning.
as I can.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you
What
guys
I
hear-
do.
Can you hear me
Mess
now?
things up.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Still a little sick. Still got a little bit of a cough. Turns out it was a sinus infection. It's the first one I've ever had, and it knocked me out.
Yeah. It's usually like a cold that infects you, and then you just got to get through it. Everybody's sick. My kids' high school, they had, I don't know if it was like, let's see. I'm trying to do the math in my head right now. I think they said they had 38 kids out, but I think the school has like 270 kids, so that's a huge portion. That's an enormous portion. A shout out. I said I was going to do this earlier in the week to a friend, and I failed to do it, but to the Turney family, Turney Plumbing. Their son plays on the Metro East Lutheran High School basketball team, along with a bunch of other seniors who had their last basketball game last night. Season ended. So shout out to them and to those boys. My son is a sophomore. He's on the JV squad, so he practices with them a lot. We went to watch the game and didn't turn out the way we wanted it to, but they played hard and fought hard. And when I go to a game, there are a few emotional moments that I remember from my childhood more than my last basketball game. It was at Greenville High School, and I think actually, ironically, I think we lost to Roxana, which is who they lost to last night. But I had a great game, but you just knew that you were overmatched. And just that like your basketball, whatever your sport is, whatever you've poured yourself into, now it's over. It feels like such a big ending. And then you get a little bit away from it, and then you're like, oh, there's a lot more stuff to do. And then the future is very bright for these boys. But
you also realize very quickly that all those practices, naturally just kind of kept you in shape, just regardless of what you ate. That was a serious reality check post high school.
Like you have to invest a little of your time into making it happen.
Take care of myself.
Yeah.
Yikes.
But baseball season is officially upon us, so I am a happy mama. All right. Well, Ethan's filling in for Ryan today, of course. Ethan's America. Let's hear it. One of my favorite things that we do on the show.
I don't like this.
I love it.
Not Wiggins America. Ethan's America.
Ryan is here when he's not.
Ethan's America.
Stupid. You know what I'm sick of? I'm sick of people getting sick. That's what I'm sick of, Annie.
Yeah. Well, tell Brad, not me. I feel pretty good.
Ugh. I'm sick of you, Brad.
Especially Brad.
I'm sorry, man.
I'm sick of your sickness.
I'm doing my best.
This is like when Ryan gets really upset when I get sick because it's more work for him. Brad's out, and that affects you, Ethan, but you've done a great job.
No,
and we're glad
it,
you have.
it's certainly there has been something going around. My wife is a high school dance coach, actually a Lutheran high school over on the Missouri side.
Which one?
Lutheran St. Charles.
Oh, really?
The Cougars, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yes. She's been coaching them
I wonder
for
if
the
she's
past...
coaching people I know. I know people at that high school.
I
we don't have to
can
listen
tell
to
you
names
for a fact that is happening. But yeah, we don't need to go any further than that. So they actually have a state tournament this weekend, looking to win their second state championship in the last 3 years.
Well, go Cougars.
That's fantastic.
But they were just at nationals a couple weeks ago, and they have 14...
They had nationals before state?
Yeah, that's how it works in dance. That's normal. But they have 14 kids on the team, I think, and I think 6 of them got the flu during that nationals trip.
Hey, you dance on. You go out there and you put that happy face on, and you win the whole thing.
They don't know this, but I actually almost ransacked a practice last week and just showed up and started practicing. It ended up
dance.
Yeah, it almost happened.
Why didn't it, and why weren't we notified?
No kidding.
I think it's probably going to happen at some point.
Can you film it?
I imagine that
Ethan, can you
Mrs.
dance?
Hannaford can make something happen. Oh, absolutely not.
Even
not
better.
like actually good. I would argue I have a little bit of rhythm, like maybe the wedding reception, but that's very different than the.
Are
kind
you a
of
party
dance
starter?
I certainly am not shy. That's for sure.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
You're like, I'm gonna party, and if people want to join me, then that could be the start.
Get a brewski or two in me, it's game on. I mean,
gosh, let me write that down. Hold on a second.
I'm an honest man.
Making some plans.
You know what else I'm sick of? I am sick of prices just climbing through the roof. Ugh, I sound like an old person, but it's the truth.
No, you sound like a young person with a starter job. Been there.
That's so real. I think I've shared a couple of times, especially when Biden was still in office, we would talk about just how much prices in general had increased. And I think I would share with you guys that there were what I wasn't able to really relate because I was a kid living in my parents' home when the Trump administration for the first term was running things, and the economy was in a better place. So I couldn't. I was just kind of thrown into what it was under President Biden. But things are still expensive, and certainly you can see when you hear other people talk about just how much prices have increased. So I have a list here of things that some people say that they're officially done purchasing in the year 2026. What I think is these are still things that a lot of people are going to give into, but they're just really frustrated about how much the price of different goods have increased throughout the past several years. And people are saying no more. Number one on the list is steak. I don't know if there is anything. I don't know if there is a price that steak could increase to where I would say I'm never going to be out on it.
I'm kind of shielded from this.
The beef prices have been a huge topic of conversation. I mean, the administration's actually involved in trying to lower the price of beef. But we even had Matt Bagley from Bagley Farms come in here and talk about the price of beef. So I understand that. If you have a choice, I mean, you might be just choosing, if you're trying to pinch pennies, I mean, beef, I would think a steak, especially a good steak, would be a luxury these days for sure.
There's a quote here saying, I was at my local Walmart and 2 New York strips that were just over 2 pounds were $45.17. No more steak in this house. I'm bummed. I love a good steak.
Good grief.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry there, person that quoted that. It's very sad for you. The next one, this one I'm pretty hot about, and it's concert tickets.
Yeah. I wanted to go see Cody Johnson. I wanted to take Jensen to go see Cody Johnson.
How much were the tickets?
Hundreds per ticket. And, I'm thinking okay, she really wants to go. And I might still do it. I don't know. I just can't. Sporting events is my thing. So I think about if I were going to pay an enormous amount of money for something, for a ticket, it would most likely be a sporting event. There's not really a concert that I would want to shell that much money out to go sit with a bunch of people to listen to music. I'd rather do that at home. But still, hundreds of dollars? No, I don't know. We went and spent, I think I spent a combined, it was less than $1,000 for 2 tickets. And we went to Columbus, Ohio, and we saw Chris Stapleton and George Strait on
That's a great lineup.
Yeah, on maybe the 20-yard line of Ohio Stadium.
That is super cool.
So that was my way of saying I don't really care what they cost because I don't spend money on any of these things. I'm spending all of my money. Chris Stapleton, my fave. George Strait, Jared's fave. It was his 40th birthday present.
That's super cool. That's really fun. Yeah, I've even seen some recently where some very well-known artists, Zayn, who's a former member of One Direction, is not selling tickets at all right now because they're so expensive, and he is just not popular enough. And he's a pretty popular guy, but
I've heard artists say they feel bad about it. They feel guilty charging their fans these types of fees.
General prices like nosebleeds that are $200, $300.
Yeah, that was the Cody Johnson tickets.
That's so ridiculous.
That were left. I think that's like a Cardinal Glennon fundraiser or something like that. So, which is why when I found out that it was a concert fundraiser or something like that, I got to do more research. But I was like, okay, maybe we will. Love My 57 said my mom paid $1.75 to see Elvis Presley at the Keel back in 1957.
Oh, shot to the heart. That's crazy. I wonder what the conversion would be. How much would that be now?
Chris says $30 tickets and $150 in fees.
That is so real.
I need a bagel loan for a concert ticket.
It was a huge deal
No
a
closing
couple of
costs.
years ago when Taylor Swift was on the Eras Tour, and the prices on the resale market were so freaking expensive that I think that finally some stuff with Ticketmaster was going on. I think there was
Kid Rock is leading a charge against that.
Good for Kid Rock.
That's right.
I respect Kid Rock
Patriot.
for that. Number 3 on the list, beer, wine, or liquor at a restaurant. Specifically, drinks shouldn't cost as much as the meal, people are saying. A lot of places, $18 to $25 cocktails and even mocktails that are up to $15.
I'll do you one better. We go out to eat with my family of 6. Everybody looks at me and they go, "Are we getting water?" And I go, "You are." I'm not. I'll get a soda from time to time, but yeah, it adds at least $30 to the bill if we get all get soft drinks.
It's where the restaurants make most
yeah.
of their money.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
then you ask for a to-go cup when you're leaving, and they give you this like 12-ounce coffee cup with lid. I'm like, I would like 3 to-go cups, please. Thanks.
That was always the most inconvenient thing to do when I was a server, because you'd have to go to the back, find
To-go cups?
find the styrofoam cups, because you only get like 12 of them out at a time. That was never fun when people asked for those.
I tipped more when people offer them.
Good
or
on you.
especially if they like just bring them out to you.
You're a good soul, Annie Fry. Next on the list is
Just want more
fast
soda.
food. Fast food.
Yeah.
You guys fast food people?
Not anymore. No.
If Ryan Wiggins was
Yeah.
here, he would be
Enough for
the
all
lone
of us.
representative in the room for it. I think back to the value meal at McDonald's.
They're
I know
coming back.
they brought it back recently, but I mean, we used to
They've
go
got-
from things actually on the dollar menu being $1.
Yeah. Now it's just a value meal.
Mhm.
McDonald's is supposed to have. I think there was like a double cheeseburger meal for maybe $5.50. I'm looking it up here again. The McValue menu.
I got goosebumps hearing that, Annie. And I also got
Talk dirty
really
to Ryan
hungry.
Wiggins. You talk about defunding NGOs. For you, it's $5 value meals at fast food restaurants. It says meal deals starting at $5 asterisk. The McChicken meal. It's a McChicken. See, listen, folks. When I was growing up, you had a sandwich, you had some French fries, you had a drink. Now they have multiple sides. And so there's a McChicken. It looks like 4 chicken nuggets. Why do you need a side of chicken with your McChicken? What do you people need this much chicken for? French fries and a
It's
drink.
not even real chicken.
I don't eat.
It's ficken.
Okay. The McDouble meal, which is probably what I would get, but I don't want chicken nuggets. It's a McDouble. A McDouble and a double cheeseburger are different because there's a missing piece of cheese, correct?
Right.
A McDouble sandwich, 4 nuggies, French fries and a soda, and the daily double meal deal looks like a maybe a McDouble.
There you go.
With like a garden on it, which I'm sure is super fresh.
Did you guys see the video of the CEO of McDonald's recently trying their new, what's it called, the Arch Burger?
Yeah.
Did you see that video?
I haven't seen it. I saw that there
He
is a video,
it looks like he's never eaten McDonald's in his life. He takes this
Is he
bite
like,
and you
"Ew."
can't even notice that he eats it. He's like, I'm going to eat the rest of this off the air, basically is what he says.
Who was that? Oh, it's Jacob
C-
Fry eating the Somali food at that restaurant. It's like, man, this is really good. It's like when you're making your kids eat their
yummy.
vegetables, and they're like, "You eat them, Mom," and you're like, "I will eat them.
I'll eat them later when you go to sleep.
You eat them first because I'm the adult in the room, and I need to supervise you. And I don't like broccoli. I actually do like broccoli.
Do you want one more real quick here?
If you can hustle.
Movie tickets. Prices continue to skyrocket, as well as the concessions, which those have always been
The
high.
concessions.
But those have always been high. People have been sneaking in.
Yeah, but you used to be able to pay
concessions.
$2 to get into a movie. You paid
Yeah.
$20 for popcorn and sodas. You were like, yeah, you
Yeah,
get out of there for less than
what does it cost
30.
for a full family of fries to go to the movies
Over
now?
$100.
That's insane.
Easily. It's probably
ridiculous.
more like 120, 130. You know why we don't go to the movies? Because of that. Deroy Murdock, Chad Program in the next hour. Don't go away. Stewart's American Mortgage and the Bagel Loan, like I was saying, no closing costs, no fees on the end of that mortgage purchase with Stewie. And I think that if you understand when I talk to you about getting a bagel loan, that I've done it twice. I'm a customer 2 times of the bagel loan. The next mortgage that I get, I ask Stewie all the questions before I do anything else or go anywhere else because I trust him to give me really good sound advice when it comes to securing the smartest mortgage for my family. So a bagel loan is a new mortgage either on a new home or a new refinance of your current mortgage. You can even use it to take cash out, so you can do a cash out refinance. And when you qualify for the bagel loan, you're going to get the low rates that are available to you, but you're going to get to pay $0 in closing costs. Now, those closing costs can amount to like $1,000, thousands of dollars. You just don't have to pay them. He takes care of it for you. Reach out to him directly at 314-324-4440. 314-324-4440. You can Google the bagel loan for more information. NMLS number 226715.
Back. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. That message from Vice President J.D. Vance urging voters not to give back control of Congress to Democrats in November.
What is it about a political party that can't stand up and cheer for the fact that we have rising wages and low inflation for the first time in a very long time in the United States of America?
Criticizing what opponents did not applaud during the president's State of the Union address as he visits Wisconsin, pitching a Trump agenda Democrats argue is not working. The latest round of U.S. nuclear talks with Iran apparently done for now in Geneva, where the foreign minister for mediator Oman is reporting significant progress and saying technical level talks will happen next week in Vienna. A massive U.S. military buildup remains in the Middle East. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton giving closed-door testimony to a House panel's probe of Jeffrey Epstein and his associate Ghislaine Maxwell.
The former Secretary of State says, quote, "I had no idea about their criminal activities. I do not recall ever encountering Mr. Epstein. I never flew on his plane or visited his island, homes, or offices. I have nothing to add to that." Democrats say focus on the Clintons is a distraction.
Fox's Chad Pergram in Chappaqua, New York, where former President Bill Clinton will also give a deposition tomorrow. A federal judge allows the White House ballroom project to continue.
A request from the National Trust for Historic Preservation to halt construction of a $400 million ballroom was dismissed by federal district judge Richard Leon. The group has challenged President Trump's authority to tear down the White House East Wing and construct the ballroom without approval from Congress or federal oversight boards. But the judge says that argument is unlikely to succeed under the current lawsuit because the construction costs are being covered with private donations and not congressional funding.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. America is listening to Fox News.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-983-2077 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-983-2077. That's 800-983-2077. What do you have to lose? Call 800-983-2077. Again, 800-983-2077.
On that point, I just think that the reality is that an act like the SAVE Act is very likely more aimed at voter suppression and at keeping key demographics that the Republican Party does not want voting to not show out and vote. I think very often minority demographics.
That's not true.
So this is the thing where the suggestion is it's going to keep the black vote down. I've got two black panelists here. Ajwa?
That's not true.
Do you have ID and proof of citizenship?
Yeah, and if I need a copy of my birth certificate, it's just a matter of going online or going up to the department and asking for it and showing my information to get it. I mean, to say that it would negatively affect a minority group because they're somehow not educated enough to get these documents is completely outrageous.
Annie?
Yeah, Annie, here I am. Thanks,
Tell
Will.
us your thoughts, Annie.
Yeah, throw it to Annie. Good for her for sitting on this panel and being like, excuse me, what? Come again? Absolutely, completely and totally ridiculous. Let's get to our guest who has a few things to say about this as well. Deroy Murdock joins us, nationally syndicated columnist, Project 21 ambassador, Fox News contributor, and our normal Wednesday friend, now Thursday friend on the Annie Fry Show. Welcome back, Deroy. Good to have you with us.
Great to be with you again, Annie.
So, you've got this a panel of young people sitting there talking about voter ID and the requirement of it. And you have young white men saying, this could disenfranchise people of color. And then this young black woman's like, excuse me? That's so offensive.
Mm-hmm.
Good for the young people for bringing some common sense to the conversation.
No, I think it's great. I'm glad she said what she did. And, it used to be that racism was born of hatred. I hate those blacks. So let's see if we can string one up. Now racism, thankfully, that variety of racism is much more reduced. Now it is much more common is, well, we don't hate these people. We feel sorry for them. They're just not that smart. They're not that organized, not that prepared. So we can't expect black people to get ID cards. They just can't do that. Excuse me, have you ever seen a black person drive a car? The chances are that person probably has a driver's license and somehow managed to get himself or herself sufficiently organized and together to do that by the millions. I fly on planes all across the country all the time. I see lots of black folks on planes. Some or another, you can't get on a plane unless you've got ID to show the TSA. So those folks somehow were able to figure it out. Very recently, over the last couple of years or so, there's been a real push to get real ID. And a lot of people had to go in and update their ID cards, and a lot of black people managed to do that. So it's only when it comes to polls that somehow it's racist or bigoted to expect people to show photo ID when they go to vote. And I just did a piece for the Daily Signal. Headline is voter ID is perfectly normal worldwide. If asking people for voter ID is some kind of a racist plot cooked up by Donald J. Trump and Stephen Miller, and I guess maybe some members of the Ku Klux Klan or something, why is it when you look around the world? You look at Africa, you look at Latin America, you look at Europe, and in almost every country, I'd say probably 80% of the countries or so, people are expected to show photo ID when they show up at the polls. And as I have in my article, I've got photographs of these three women in the Congo, beautifully dressed in these very colorful outfits, and they're holding up their voter ID cards. We've got a copy of a voter ID card from Ghana, also in Africa. We have Mexico right next door, just to our south. They've got to show ID cards, and also their voter rolls have their photographs, not just their names, but their photographs. And the photo in the voter rolls has to match the photo on your photo ID, or you don't get a ballot. Now, if Mexico is able to have that level of political hygiene, what is our excuse? Yeah. Somehow or another, people in Mexico, people in Congo, people in Ghana, people in South Africa are able to show up at the polls with photo ID when they vote. And in this country, somehow, if you're asked to do that, oh my God, it's racism, it's Jim Crow 2.0. I don't think Jim Crow operates in Nigeria and Ghana and Congo, as far as I can tell. But I don't know, maybe those countries really are run by white supremacists, and we don't know about it.
The article on the Daily Signal is voter ID is perfectly normal worldwide. Check this out. Share it with your friends and family who might need a little more visual evidence that you've provided for us here in this article. We're speaking with Deroy Murdock. And, you know, I think that the topic of, I keep thinking like maybe this is just something Republicans keep making be the topic around the SAVE Act to like try to push back at how bigoted it makes Democrats look to say this. But then you have Chuck Schumer is the one who's saying no SAVE Act because it's Jim Crow 2.0. I mean, that talking point that there is a racial segregation connected to the SAVE Act is from the highest ranking Democrat in Congress. So how do people who aren't politically affiliated but just have common sense push back against this narrative that the Democrats continue to think, I guess, is going to be a successful one?
Yeah, I would just say shame on you, Chuck Schumer. Shame on you, other people who say this. You know, it's a bit like, you know, saying to a Jewish person, you know, I've been waiting for my dinner here for the last 20 minutes. I'm really hungry. It's like the Holocaust. You wouldn't say anything like that. No, your dinner being late isn't the Holocaust. Excuse me. There's no comparison. Likewise, saying to somebody before you vote, hey, we need to see your photo ID to make sure that you are who you say you are, is nothing in any way comparable to being told, as blacks were in the 50s and 60s, oh, you can't use this water fountain. Go use that crummy water fountain with, you know, that's not refrigerated. You can't sit in the front of the bus. You got to sit in the back of the bus. Or, hey, boy, we don't like you. We whistled that white girl. We're going to string you up from a tree, and that's the end of you. So that's what Jim Crow 1.0 is all about. Jim Crow 2.0 has nothing, quote unquote, has nothing to do with that, asking people to show photo ID. You know, if that's Jim Crow 2.0, then it's Jim Crow 2.0. Excuse me, when people are asked to show photo ID to get on planes, to cash checks, to go into motels, to walk into federal buildings. Just the other day, Senator John Ossoff of Georgia had some kind of a citizen meeting or a town hall or something like that. And in order to get in, guess what? He had to show photo ID. So even a sitting
Did
Democrat,
he let minorities into this event?
Yeah. So I guess if it's Jim Crow 2.0, then John Ossoff is practicing. These people, the only reason they're saying this is they have no other argument against the idea why people should be able to go to the polls and tell the poll workers, hey, you know, my name, I claim to be Jack Smith, and here's a photo ID to say my name is Jack Smith, not, you know, Bob Gomez or Sally Jones or whatever else it is. And that's not asking too much. This is something that will make our, I think, very shaky election system much more reliable, and all of us should be in favor of having an election system where everybody, win, lose, or draw, can say, you know what, that was a fair election. The people voted who should have voted. The ballots match the number of voters, and the best man or woman with the highest number of ballots won. And hooray, this person won. Too bad that person lost, whatever the feeling is. But, you know, we all can agree, even though we may not like the result, or some people love this result, some may not. We all can agree that was a fair race. That was a fair election. That was a fair vote. Right now, a lot of people look at the election and think, you know what? It's rigged. It's cooked. It's at least wobbly and shaky, at the very minimum, if not outright fraudulent. And a society can't last very long if people think, you know, that person who's sitting there as governor, mayor, as president isn't legit because that person stole the election. That's not a good situation for a free people to operate under. So I think we have to have an election system where people show voter ID, the voter rolls are cleaned up to make sure people who are dead or have moved away are not on there. We need to make sure, as we discussed a couple weeks ago, that if somebody's at 1234 Main Street, that's actually a house where people live and not an abandoned house or an empty lot or a steel factory or something like this. There are people in Vegas who've been registered to vote at strip clubs, at casinos, at a vacant lot with nothing but gravel, and you have that sort of thing. And you know, elections are often very close down. Sometimes House seats, even I think a couple Senate races, have come down to a couple hundred votes. The presidency came down to what, 500 and I forget the exact number, about 550 votes or so in Florida, which gave the election to George W. Bush rather than Al Gore. So we have very close elections in this country. And people say, oh, don't worry, it's just the frauds. It's a small percentage. The correct number is 0, not 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 or 15. It's 0, because every fraudulent ballot that's cast cancels out a legitimate ballot. if somebody's voted the other way. So the correct number is 0. We should have zero tolerance for this, not a little bit of tolerance for this. And I think the SAVE Act will move us very much in that direction, and not a second too soon.
Do you trust that the Senate's going to enforce that standing filibuster? They have 50 co-sponsors, but apparently they're not all in favor of enforcing the standing filibuster. That's mind-blowing to me. How do you think they get their act together in the Senate?
Look, the House was able to get this thing through, and they did, and congratulations. The Senate's got to step up and do its job, and I think they need to do this before they do anything else. They've got. Obviously, the clock is ticking on other things, but this is extremely important. If we get this right, we'll have an election system that we all can be proud of, in which I think the fraud will be reduced very dramatically. The opportunities for cheating will be diminished very significantly. If we don't get this right, we're going to continue to have elections which are, again, at least poorly administered, if not outright corrupt. And God forbid if the Democrats take over Congress, you won't see anything like the SAVE Act. You'll see something much more like H.R. 1, which they tried to push when Biden was president, and the Democrats had control of Congress for the first 2 years. And what that would do is exactly opposite of the SAVE Act. No voter ID, mass mail-in ballots, drop boxes, same-day registration, all that stuff. And, that stuff goes in. All the things that were done as the temporary measures during COVID will be made permanent. And I think we will have an even more loosey-goosey electoral system in this country, which will make it easier and easier for people to vote who shouldn't, including, I think, illegal aliens voting. We know that can't be allowed. One of the things the SAVE Act does is make sure that you are a U.S. citizen. And there was that discussion about birth certificates. And I did think, I must say, listening to all the scare tactics from the Democrats, I was concerned, there's a problem. Are people going to be able to track down their birth certificates, which might be sitting in your mom's attic, your grandma's basement, whatever? You can go online. I think it's called vitalcheck.com. It's a website that's officially sanctioned by states across the country. Put in your name, date of birth, the city in which you were born, and you can order your birth certificate, and you can get it for, I think it's about $35 to $50 or so. I think you and I discussed different ways to make this price go to zero, which is, as you suggested, write it off on your taxes. Just put it on your 1040 tax. Did you spend any money to get a birth certificate to register to vote? What did you spend? Take that right off your taxes. You possibly could put in a coupon code where you put in the coupon code, the price goes to zero, and Vital Check can add all those up and send a bill to the Treasury and say, hey, we did a million birth certificates this year. Please pay us $35 million, whatever the figure is. And I think that's a perfectly appropriate use of taxpayer money. And, I think if we do this, people will get their ID. Some people already have IDs. Those who need to get IDs to vote will do so. And I think we'll be able to have a system of voting where we all can say, look, win, lose, or draw, we all can agree that this was a fair system. Because right now we're not there at all.
Well, I encourage people to check out your piece in the Daily Signal. Thank you for the time, Deroy. I know this is an important issue, and we're going to continue to follow it, and we need you to keep pushing on it. So thanks for talking with us. Take care.
You as well. All right, Danny. Thanks very much. Bye.
Bye. All right, we're going to take a quick break because Chad Pergram is going to be with us when we come back. He's bumping up a little bit because there is an Epstein press conference that he has to attend at 1:30 when he was supposed to be with us. So he's going to talk to us next. So let's hurry up and get to a break so we can hurry up and come back and find out the latest from that Hillary Clinton deposition taking place in Chappaqua. Chad Pergram, senior congressional correspondent for Fox News, on the Annie Frey Show next. All right, I said this was going to be a fast turnaround, and it is because we have our next guest on with us, the senior congressional correspondent for Fox News, Chad Pergram, with us, who is covering the House committee that is questioning Hillary Clinton today surrounding the Epstein files and any connection she might have to him. Chad Pergram, welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
What can you tell us from the experience so far? I know that Hillary Clinton released a statement released it publicly as soon as she went in for this deposition. What have you learned so far?
Well, it's a closed-door deposition, and so at some point here, probably in the next few days, we'll get a transcript. We'll also get video of this deposition with Hillary Clinton today and former President Clinton tomorrow. But I think the one bit of news that's emerged from this, and they're doing this in Chappaqua, New York, which is where the Clintons live, about an hour north of New York City, is that there was this photo that a member took inside the room, and it was leaked, and it was tweeted and posted to social media. And, this is the whole thing where the Clintons had argued that they didn't want a closed-door deposition. They wanted an open public hearing. And so there's nothing salacious necessarily or intriguing other than the fact that this is the one thing that happened inside the room. Now, they briefly kind of took a time out. They did not recess or adjourn, but they took a couple of moments to object to the fact that this happened. And the fact that we've not heard from anybody inside the Chappaqua Performing Arts Center where they're doing this is because I think this is kind of taking things off the rails slightly. But you're right. Hillary Clinton said that she was happy to come testify, at least now. It was funny, they issued these these subpoenas for them for these depositions months ago, and they dodged around in October and close to Christmas and in January, and that's where James Comer, the chairman of the committee, he said, we need to have you in here, and we're going to have the committee, and the committee voted on a bipartisan basis to hold both Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton in contempt of Congress if they did not show up, and that would be a criminal referral to the Department of Justice. So they agreed to this. James Comer has not said no to an open hearing, but the custom on Capitol Hill is that you always have a closed-door deposition, and then you move to an open hearing perhaps later.
Senior congressional correspondent for Fox News, Chad Pergram, speaking with us. I've heard in a lot of the reports that are taking place today, yours included, I think that, there's no, from the representatives specifically, there's no allegation of wrongdoing here, but there are questions that need answers, and we think that we can potentially get some of those from the Clintons. Is there a specific direct line of questioning for Hillary Clinton separate from Bill Clinton that you think that they're trying to get to today? Answers on any particular questions?
Well, not necessarily, and I think that was the whole thing. Is that Bill Clinton was just kind of mentioned here because he was somebody who knew Epstein, traveled with him. Hillary Clinton says she had no contact with him. But if you look at the parameters of the questions, one of the things that they wanted to evaluate was how Jeffrey Epstein specifically used his connections with all these folks to dodge the law for so long. And I think that might be one element of the questioning today, because if you look at that set of parameters, there were 5 kind of circles of questioning. Not a lot of them dealt with the Clintons.
Mm. Well, Chad Pergram speaking with us. Last question before we know you have to hustle and go to the next thing. But the names that I've heard come up, Lutnick is one of them. I know Congressman Comer has said that they'd maybe like to speak to him. And I've heard the Democrats, congressional members, say that they hope that Bill Clinton's testimony is precedent to have who they'd really like to have in front of them, President Trump. Any likelihood of those?
Yeah, you just don't have presidents and former presidents come before Congress very often. And I think that's the biggest thing, the idea that they're trying to say, ooh, maybe we get you in here, President Trump, if we win the majority in the House of Representatives. That's a big deal. Now, it's a little bit different to have a former president versus a sitting president, but that's why today is such a big news deal. You just don't have this happen, certainly for former presidents or secretaries of states or senators or first ladies.
Well,
doesn't happen very often.
Chad Pergram, we'll let you get back to it. We'll continue to watch your coverage on Fox News, and we thank you for the time this afternoon.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye. Senior congressional correspondent for Fox News, speaking with us there, was originally scheduled for 1:30 to talk to him, but I think there's going to be a press conference. At least that they've said that it's going to be scheduled for 1:30, so they wanted to move him up. So we might keep our eyes and our ears on that press conference and bring that to you. I mean, how much interest do you have in this type of testimony? I don't feel like you ever get out of these things, and they're very rarely bombshells. It's either that or the bombshells are so prevalent that they relative to one another. It's just like a drink it out of a fire hose. You find out this, you find out that. Same thing with what we discussed with Hans von Spakovsky in the noon hour. You've got a scenario where Susie Wiles, who was a campaign manager for President Trump, then candidate Trump, finds out that she was spied on. Here's the Fox News report on that. This is a really important thing. If you listened to our talk with Hans, you heard him say this, but if you didn't, you can check out our podcast on the Odyssey app. I asked him that question about Watergate. I've heard on multiple occasions that this is way bigger than Watergate. I've lived my whole 41 years of life knowing that Watergate was kind of a big deal. It was you could put a pin in the timeline of history, and Watergate is going to be one of those things in American history that makes the timeline of top-tier historical events. And I hear people reacting to the revelation that has come out in the last 24 hours about Susie Wiles, about Kash Patel. I'll give you some more details on that here in a second. But saying that this scandal is bigger than Watergate. So I'm sitting here going, okay, Watergate happened 10 years before I was born. I know about it. I watched Forrest Gump, so I completely know everything I need to know about Watergate. I'm joking. You have the idea of espionage. You have subterfuge. You have a undermining of the system that is supposed to serve the American people. But if you listen to what Hans said about it, this was the people in power using the departments that they control and the tentacles of the FBI, all of the flex that comes with the authority and the power of the executive office of our government. They use that against an American citizen to seek out, to search for a crime that they could hold against him. Why? So that they could keep him from running and then eventually winning the presidency of the United States once again. When I look at the details of the sabotage that has been lobbed at President Trump the whole time he's been in politics, loved him when he was a celebrity, when he was just a fat cat with a fat wallet and he was making donations to Republicans, making donations to Democrats, showing up parties, throwing parties, hanging out with celebrities, hanging out with musicians, hanging out with, government brass in New York City and presidents and, all the things, going to the weddings. When he was that guy, when he was everybody's guy, they loved him. The second he steps into Republican politics, all of a sudden he became a huge threat. I think back to Hillary Clinton in that debate, which I believe was in St. Louis, the you'd be in jail debate between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. One of the things Hillary Clinton attacked Donald Trump for was like using the tax system to his own benefit. And Donald Trump's answer was like, of course I would use it to my benefit. Why wouldn't I use it to my benefit? Just because I can navigate how to pay the lowest tax obligation legally possible, why in the world would I not do it? And he pointed to her and he's like, your people do it too. Your donors do it too. But you're worried about me over here? He's like, I'm the one who will admit that, heck yeah, I'm going to do it. I know where the loopholes are. And if they need to be closed, I'm the one who's going to know where they are to close them. There's a dishonesty. There's a hypocrisy that exists in politics, and it always runs against the Republican Party. So Donald Trump, the entire way from escalator descent to February 26, 2026, President Trump has been the target of sabotage from the people who are in the bureaucracy, i.e. swamp of our government. So let's get to the story of the last 24 hours. We can dip in here to what has been revealed in the last 24 hours. Now, I'll just read to you from the Fox report on Fox News, a piece put together by Rachel Wolf, David Spunt, who we heard from a little bit earlier on the show, and Emma Busey. FoxNews.com headline is FBI subpoena of phone records leaves Trump chief of staff in shock. White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles was reportedly in shock after hearing the FBI, under former President Joe Biden, subpoenaed her and current FBI Director Kash Patel's phone records in 2022 and 2023. Wiles, who ran President Donald Trump's 2024 campaign, reportedly told associates, I am in shock, according to Axios report yesterday. Reuters first disclosed the subpoenas, which were issued during the Biden administration, while special counsel Jack Smith was investigating Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 election and his handling of classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. The subpoenaed toll records include phone numbers and the dates and times of calls, but not the content of the conversations, Fox News has learned. Smith eventually charged Trump in 2023 with multiple felony offenses related to alleged efforts to challenge the results of the 2020 election and his handling of documents. We all know how that ended up. The election interference case was later dismissed by a federal judge after Smith moved to drop it following Trump's reelection. Smith also dropped the Justice Department's appeal of a separate ruling that dismissed the classified documents case. Trump has denied any wrongdoing in both matters. Kash Patel responded, "It is outrageous and deeply alarming that the previous FBI leadership secretly subpoenaed my own phone records along with those of now White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, using flimsy pretexts and burying the entire process in prohibited case files designed to evade all oversight." So I mentioned this to Hans when I was talking to him earlier because he highlighted this. The documents that have been discovered here, that have been discovered by the FBI director and Kash Patel that involved him, those were tucked away, not in burn bags in a corner back room or something, but through classifications, they were made to be very, very hard to discover. Why? Can we trust the bureaucracy of our government to serve the people, or is there something greater that they are out there to serve? Is there an initiative that is more worthy of protection than the idea, the concept of we the people and the Constitution of the United States? Do you believe in a swamp? Be a good question to ask on the poll one day. Do you think it's there? Do you think the president is rooting it out? You know that it's going to be kind of a whack-a-mole situation for the president to charge Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard and John Ratcliffe, all these people to be able to dig their claws into the muck of the swamp and rip everything out so they can just see what they can uncover. And they're starting to find more and more of this. At least 10, is more from the Fox News report, at least 10 FBI employees were also fired Wednesday. Fox News is told names were not given due to privacy reasons. Eric Doherty, Assistant Chief Content Officer for Rightline, an offshoot of Florida's Voice, applauded the firings, telling Patel to, quote, keep purging. Additionally, conservative influencer Nick Sorter wrote on X, the amount of rot in the FBI is insane. Okay, that's helpful. People are pushing back against these FBI agents being fired because they're saying that the FBI agents, they're assigned a case. They're assigned something to work on. And if they're told to work on it, they're told to work on it. It's not like they're picking it out or sniffing it out, that maybe the people were more low level than should be held responsible for it. But do you trust your government? Do you trust the apparatus of the bureaucracy of the government? I think that the American people have resoundingly said no. There's no way that Donald Trump wins re-election in 2024. If you guys are like, no, I think the swamp's good. It's my fave. Love it. Big swamp fan. I don't think that's what the American people are saying. And I think more and more, especially when it comes to the fraud, especially when it comes to Minnesota and everything that's going to expand out of the investigations going into Minnesota. We've seen investigations developing in California, and now we find out from the State of the Union that J.D. Vance is being put in charge of rooting out the fraud. Man, if he doesn't do anything for the next almost 3 years in this administration, every fraud penny, J.D. Vance, go get it. Put it in a pile. We'll swim in it later. It's ridiculous to think about all of the dollars that are coming out of your paycheck that are going to compensate fraudsters. You know, people will say, oh, they've discovered $20 million in fraud. That's like chump change when you're talking about what the government spends. You know, I don't need a whole lot of the $20 million to change my life. You take an extra $25, $50, $100 out of a working mom's check, out of a single parent household to go to pay taxes because the debt exists to such a large degree, it's unimaginable. Those dollars matter to real American, hardworking, tax-paying people. And J.D. Vance needs to go find every penny that needs to be returned to those hardworking people and get the fraudsters out of here. Put them in jail. If they're not residents here, get rid of them. Get this country back to the way it's supposed to be, which is we the people. We'll break now. 2:05, Joe Concha is going to join us, and I'm going to get his reaction to the State of the Union, and also just maybe an assessment of where we go from here into the midterm election, which we're asking you on the Annie Frey YouTube poll. Predict the 2026 midterm outcomes. Do you think the Republicans retain majorities, the Dems win the House, Dems win the Senate, or Dems win both? Go vote in the Annie Frey YouTube live chat poll. Subscribe while you're there. We'd love to have you. And you can text us your thoughts at 314-241-9797. We'll read some of those when we return. Don't go away. All right, Home Shield Foundation Repair, Matt Hayes. I want to talk to you about the way that they can renew the patio, the concrete outside, the walkways, the sidewalks at home, your residence, at work, at church. You got a trip hazard out there that you're thinking about. Have you done one of those things? Maybe it's like a nonprofit church situation, and you've done that. Like, let's put a cone on it. You ever seen those people who put like cones in potholes? He's not a pothole guy. But if you got a uneven concrete on a walkway where people are coming and going, that's going to be a liability for you if you don't get it fixed. So you call somebody who can get it fixed. And Matt Hayes is the guy. He's got a great team. And when he uses polyjacking, which is the way he takes a polyurethane foam, injects it underneath that concrete, raises it up, levels the whole thing off, good as new, puts a 5-year warranty on that as well, then you don't have that liability anymore. He can do it in like a day. 314-271-9900, 314-271-9900. That's the number to call. And do not forget to mention Annie. When you do, tell Matt Hayes Annie said hi. Home Shield Foundation Repairs.com.
The YouTube live chat poll. Predict the 2026 midterm outcomes. 4 different options. The GOP holds both majorities. The Democrats win the House. They win the Senate. Those are 2 separate options. Or they win both. They win the House and the Senate. You can vote on today's YouTube live chat poll on the Annie Fry Show YouTube stream. We've been featuring some comments throughout the show, and we're going to continue to do so. You can also text us at 314-241-9797. If you haven't saved that number in your phone, go ahead and do that now, because that is the text line for all of the shows here on 97.1 FM Talk, and we'll be sure to feature some of those throughout the remainder of the show as well. The time is 1:39. This time check sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. So we had Chad Pergram scheduled for right now, but we moved him up because there's supposed to possibly be a press conference happening right now because Hillary Clinton has been deposed in Chappaqua, New York, regarding connections to Jeffrey Epstein, the Epstein files, anything that has to do with Jeffrey Epstein. I think that the worst kind of allegations that are being made, or revelations, I should say, that have been discovered in the Epstein files, I think it's really important for people who are like trying to learn and glean what the Epstein files are producing as far as a reality that existed among the elite, the powerful. There's pedophilia involved in it. There's rape. There are some of the most disgusting, horrifying allegations that have been that have come to light. But there's also a lot of power manipulation. There's also a lot of like world order kinds of connections that were made through Jeffrey Epstein. Who did he work for? Was he a part of the United States? Was he a U.S. asset? Was he a asset for Israel? Was he an asset for other countries? Was he serving as like a triple agent? Lots of questions that need to be answered. So you talk to the people who he's connected to, and you get answers from them. So I think that when most people are talking about the Epstein files, most people are thinking about the things that relate to children. And I understand that. And I'm not here to tell you to stop worrying about that at all. But I am saying that the effort to find out exactly what Jeffrey Epstein was all involved in, it's much broader than just. It's much broader than the leading story, the most obviously salacious story of the way he abused children. To me, that's the most important story, but there is a lot more there. So we're waiting on a press conference that we might take you to here if it happens, just so we can find out what the Hillary Clinton deposition turned out to the people who she was speaking with, which is the House Oversight Committee led by James Comer. But let's listen into a Chad Pergram report from a little bit earlier today from the same location where this press conference will likely be happening shortly.
At this point, Chad, good morning.
Bill, good morning. Well, Bill and Hillary Clinton, they're probably the biggest political figures to ever appear before a congressional committee, certainly for a deposition. The House Oversight Committee voted for a bipartisan subpoena for both of them, and the Clintons, they ducked those depositions for months, and they only agreed to appear after a contempt of Congress citation was threatened. Listen.
We know the Clintons spent a lot of time with Jeffrey Epstein. No one's accusing the Clintons of any wrongdoing, but we do know that when Bill Clinton was president, Jeffrey Epstein went to the White House 16 times, and that after the presidency, Bill Clinton flew on Epstein's plane 27 times.
The depositions come as bipartisan lawmakers are disappointed at how the DOJ handled the Epstein files. Former President Clinton was photographed with Jeffrey Epstein and traveled with him. Some question why they've even bothered to bring in Hillary Clinton.
I don't think that they're going to give us any pertinent information. I mainly want to know whether or not he knows and can provide us names of people that were either harmed and or those that engaged in potentially the assault of minors.
After finally agreeing to today's deposition, the Clintons insist on a public hearing. Many Democrats support that.
What the Clintons have said, let's do this publicly, which would be consistent with transparency. But they don't want to do that. And I think that tells you everything about what those depositions are.
Now, as I say, it's practically unprecedented for a former president to appear at a deposition like this. And it's rare to also have them at public hearings before Congress. But Democrats believe that this could establish a precedent by bringing in former President Clinton, because if they get control of the House after the midterm elections, they want to bring in President Trump. Bill?
And so it goes.
So you've got Chad Pergram reporting live there from, well, at the time it was live, outside of the area where Hillary Clinton is being deposed. And there is an expectation that they might be doing a press conference here. I would assume James Comer will come out and speak and update us on whatever has been revealed. But also at the same time, there's supposed to be a public transcript that is being made of this deposition today. Tomorrow, run it back, Bill Clinton is going to be in front of the House Oversight Committee. So we will stay tuned. We're watching for that press conference, and we will bring it to you if we can here as soon as it happens. So don't go away for that. We'll find out. We'll get to the bottom of at least what we can with the Epstein file revelation today. Don't go away. Back in a minute. Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. The YouTube poll for today, predict the 2026 midterm outcomes. Ethan, you have any texts to read?
Yes, I do.
I want your personal texts, not the station ones.
Let's see. I got my buddy talking blues with me right now. I don't think you'd have much interest in that.
The people might.
From the 573, a lot of depth here. Dems win both with 6 exclamation points. That's all I got for you on the text line.
Good luck. All right.
We have a couple, though, on the YouTube live chat, which includes, let's see, Lori commenting saying, I do believe that with all Trump has done, he will keep everything. So some optimism being
like a true
felt
king.
From Lori. Doug commenting saying there is no chance that Republicans retain power, and then follows that up saying, what have Republicans done to earn votes? Grow energy, ? Nothing.
What?
Doug, I only have 4 minutes in this segment, so I'm just going to let that sit. You can listen to the podcast, though. I think about getting Starlink. I know you've researched Starlink, haven't you?
My parents have it, and it's great.
I don't know anything about it other than I Googled it. No, I didn't Google it. I asked Grok, honestly.
I
did. I grokked it, and let me pull up what I had here in Grok. I pay for ChatGPT, the premium thing, but I'm using Grok a lot more now these days. They did an improvement on it, and I feel like I'm contributing to the demise of civilization by paying for ChatGPT, so I'm thinking about switching over. But I Google... It's like saying Kleenex for tissues. I searched in ChatGPT. I live in, and I put my town in there. How much would it cost to have Starlink at my home? And then Grok was like, here's all the information you need. But it talks about residential 100 megabytes per second, 200 megabytes per second, residential max, up to 400 megabytes per download. They're charging $120 a month for that. And I think it also comes with, when you get that, it comes with something that makes it portable as well. But the residential 100 and 200 is at $50 a month and $80 a month. Now, I think that it depends on where you are, what they charge you, possibly. So I don't know if those numbers that I'm saying right now are the same as it might be cheaper for you, it might be more expensive for you. But I have yet to hear anyone say that they did this and it was a disaster.
No, my parents have it, and they love it. I mean, of course.
Do they have an alternative that they can use to Starlink?
And they didn't, and this brought high-speed internet into their home, and they're like, this is unbelievable. I can't believe like they stream TV now. They didn't used to do that sort of thing. And
welcome to 2026.
And they're like, wow, this is like, they're excited they can watch the Blues games and the Cardinals games and all that other fun stuff.
Because they were so rural?
Right. Yeah, they're like, it was dial-up or like Verizon wireless SIM cards or nothing. And so I talked them into getting this. The only thing is those are the prices for the monthly service, but you do have to buy the little satellite receiver thing. And that's a one-time purchase fee.
That's not what it said, because it.
Okay, well,
it's because it gave an opportunity to essentially rent.
Okay.
Okay, maybe I can pull it up here. It gave the ability to rent the hardware, which is really like, in my experience, what Spectrum has done, where they'll give you some sort of router and you use it, and then if you cancel their service, you lose that thing too. I need to come on, where was I looking at that? No, right here. So it gave me those 3 options. As a service starting at $50 a month, and then it was not requiring a fee for the hardware. Is 100 like 100, 200, or max, which says 400? Which one do you need?
Do I need?
Does anybody need?
I would go max.
That's my default, but I'm like, do I need to? Because I think the $80 a month, which is the 200 megabytes per second, I think that's what I'm paying right now for essentially cable internet, and that's not great. I'm not in love with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the download speed. What's the upload speed? I don't know if it gave you that or not, but the upload speed's important too. One of the things I liked about Starlink, and I've considered getting it myself, just as another thing, is they have the Starlink Mobile, which you can buy their
Roam.
Yes, and you can buy that, and you don't have to have it on all the time. You can turn the service off and turn it back on as you need. So it's like, okay, this month I know that I'm traveling, I'm going to need it. You just call them up, you turn it on, you take your little mobile satellite with you and set it out, and you got high-speed internet when you're out camping in the middle of the wilderness, which I thought was pretty cool.
I was going to do this whole process of learning it on the live stream, but I have to put my address in. So sorry, guys. I'm not going to do that. I just feel like it's one of those things that is probably everybody's going to be doing it. Okay, here it is. This is what I saw. If I do the Max Starlink, and if you're not familiar with what Starlink is, I should have prefaced that a little bit. This is Elon Musk's internet service that he provides. And when Iran is crumbling under the weight of its own government, the people are protesting, and Iran says, no connection for you. Elon Musk's like, I'll do it. And then Starlink comes in, and then the people have a way to speak and connect.
Also used it a lot for the hurricane aftermath last year, right?
Yeah,
I think North Carolina.
Yeah, I think so. So residential coverage for internet. So this is just like an alternative. And I wish that I were doing an endorsement for this right now. I don't know if I'm going to do it or not, but I'm not getting any compensation for this. The max is $120 a month. It says our best performing internet service with speeds up to 400 plus Mbps, best Wi-Fi experience, Gen 3 router, and optional free mesh for expanded range, free Starlink Mini for travel. It's $199 value, optional mini rental with flexible discounted service plans available after checkout. So $120 a month. It says if you cancel service, you'll have to return your Starlink hardware rental. Upfront hardware cost $0. Monthly kit fee $0.
That's good. That's new.
Yeah. So, free installation. You can get free opt-in, professional installation included via an authorized installer. Professional installation $0. I don't know. I think Elon Musk wants me to be his customer.
Yes, he does.
Frequently asked questions. I have questions. I don't know. If you've used Starlink, if you're around the bi-state area and you've used Starlink, will you text us at 314-241-9797 and tell me why or why not I should do this in the Metro East in Madison County? I don't know. I'm into it. I'm curious. And at this point, I'd like to give Elon Musk my money instead of other people. What about you? Let's talk to Joe Concha on the Andy Fry Show next.
Round one for the Clintons. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. Democrats on the House Oversight Committee just emerging from a closed-door deposition with former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton in the panel's Epstein probe.
Secretary Clinton never met Jeffrey Epstein. She never visited the island. She never flew on his plane. And she also had no knowledge of Jeffrey Epstein's horrific crimes.
Congressman Robert Garcia also says President Trump is in the Epstein files more than former President Bill Clinton, who is also set to give a deposition tomorrow. New York City's Democratic Socialist Mayor Zohran Mamdani holding a second meeting with President Trump.
The White House is not confirming the meeting, but a spokesperson for the mayor did, and it's not exactly clear what the two plan to talk about.
Fox's Jackie Heinrich at the White House. The New York Times reporting that housing is part of the focus.
The last time these two met in the Oval Office, President Trump did voice support for Mamdani's plans to build affordable housing in the city.
That first meeting was in November after Mamdani was elected. No deal yet between the U.S. and Iran after a third round of nuclear talks, this time in Geneva, and still mediated by Oman. The U.S. delegation led by Special Envoy Steve Witkoff.
Witkoff says a future deal is not going to have a built-in expiration date, unlike Barack Obama's ill-fated JCPOA. He reportedly told donors yesterday, quote, "We start with the premise that there is no sunset provision. You have to behave for the rest of your lives."
Fox's Jillian Turner, Iran's foreign minister, telling state TV today's round of indirect talks was one of the most intense, and that technical talks will be held next week in Vienna, which is home to the UN's nuclear watchdog agency. So far, Iran has insisted publicly that it has a right to enrich uranium for peaceful purposes. America is listening to Fox News.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-983-2077 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-983-2077. That's 800-983-2077. What do you have to lose? Call 800-983-2077. Again, 800-983-2077.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show, the State of the Union just a couple days ago, and everyone's still reeling from, I honestly think, how well President Trump did, and the Democrats aren't really sure what to do about their reaction to the speech because the speech was really not about Trump. They weren't prepared for that. Here's Representative Mouskowitz reacting to it.
Was setting up Democrats in a really simple and easy way. They shouldn't have fallen for it. It seems pretty easy to stand up and say, actually, no, I support American people first. That is where I stand. And we can have a nuanced conversation afterwards if you want about illegal immigration. But they walked into that trap because it was so easy to set.
Well, but that's not true. I mean, I stand for...
Most Democrats did not stand.
I stand for Americans over non-citizens. And so do all of my colleagues. But just because... It's not the Galactic Senate. Just because the emperor says rise doesn't mean I get up. Like I'm a different. You rose sometimes, I'm a different branch of government. I rose for the heroes that were in the gallery, not because the president.
But not for the other point. I mean, you rose because, and thank you for rising. I think in those cases that this is an easy moment to be united, whether it's around Team USA or it's around any of the people who were featured there. But that's sending a message that you agree with the statement or the sentiment, and you chose not to stand.
Well,
I think.
I'm sure if Joe
on the other
Biden
point.
told Republicans to rise, they would have leapt from their seats.
I think
But to that point,
Joe Concha, Fox News contributor.
So we've got Joe Concha back on the show with us. I cannot wait to get your thoughts here on the State of the Union. Moskowitz there saying that he goes, we do stand for American citizens. And it's like, but you literally didn't. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Yeah, Moskowitz. I mean, talk about the perfect name. You know, like, this mousy, weenie kind of, yeah. I just think, I'm sorry, there's just common sense stuff you stand up for. If Trump went up there and said, I can announce tonight that we have a cure for cancer, you stand for that, right? When a 5-year-old who was hit by somebody who was in the country illegally with a truck that he should not have been operating, again, that's a victim that we all can get behind, I would think. And U.S. men's hockey team, Annie, I keep going back to this. If 9/11 happened again, and like a George W. Bush walked to the mound at Yankee Stadium and threw a perfect strike like he did from the rubber, and the whole crowd cheered and chanted USA in unison, you didn't see one negative story about it the next day. I have a feeling it would be much different now, where 50% of people, or at least the media, would be saying how Bush exploited the moment for his own political purposes, and the Yankees were political props, and the Diamondbacks who were in it that year. But all that stuff. It's just, we've gone to crazy town, man. I don't even know what to say about it.
Well, I'm glad you used the word crazy, because I was literally thinking to myself watching the State of the Union when President Trump looked to his right and said, these people are crazy. I thought that's a really important, simple phrasing, because that's how we talk. These people are crazy. It's not some bloviated, $10 word salad type of a setup to explain why they are politically disadvantageous to the future of our country. They're just crazy people. That's where we are right now.
Yeah, and Trump's been consistent on that. When I interviewed him for my book, The Greatest Comeback Ever, I asked him, I said, with all these political headwinds, and obviously you're probably the most threatened person on the planet in terms of your life, and the media hates you, so you're never going to get a fair shake from them, and the justice system's being weaponized against you. All these things. Why would you, in the end, run again? Especially when you thought in 2020 that Joe Biden wasn't legitimately elected, that maybe some shenanigans went on under the guise of COVID in places like Atlanta and Philadelphia and Detroit and so on. So why go through all of that when it seems to be such a fixed fight against you? And he said, Joe, because these people are crazy. Like he said it then. And he goes, and we have to stop them. They cannot get control of this country and keep control of it. We saw what it was like under Biden. And if it continues for another 4 or 8 years, we may never have a country again, which we've heard him say before. So the crazy thing, that I think that simplifies things. Common sense versus crazy, and I don't know, something versus chaos. I'll have to think of a good alliterative word to use there. But, yeah, I think you simplify it down to that, and you see what Democrats did that night with the frogs dancing on stage and everything.
Oh, my gosh. I had so much fun on my show yesterday with that. We dedicated way too much time for it, but I thought there had to be some good that came out of it.
It's great to be a radio host these days, isn't it? I mean, the SOTs, that's called sound on tape for people at home. They just write. Honestly, you could find 20 in about 5 minutes. Oh, I'll use that.
Yeah, let's talk about, I'm glad you brought that up. Let's talk about the Democrats counter-program the State of the Union, but they inverted themselves that the conservatives might want to counter-program the Super Bowl halftime. They made a mockery out of it on the left, of which the Republican conservative people did not care at all, but they still made a mockery of it. Now we look at the counter-programming to the President of the United States addressing the nation, and inflatable frogs? Okay.
I don't get it. I don't get who's advising this party. I mean, it's just not normal. But I think in the end, though, Annie, that the packaging of the 2028 nominee on the Democratic side will be like an Abigail Spanberger type of brand, where you portray the person as moderate, as somebody who's really just a normie, who's going to bring things back to the middle for the Democrats, and then you see the way Spanberger is governing in Virginia. I mean, she looks to raise something like taxes on 50 different things. I'm not exaggerating with that number, and she said, I won't gerrymander. We're not going to do that. And goes in like first day and does just that. So, yeah, it's going to be a Trojan horse kind of situation where, just like Biden, who was portrayed also as a moderate, maybe Biden was somewhat of a moderate relatively at one point, but then obviously he wasn't in control. Whoever else was running the country made it a far left agenda, and that's how it's going to go.
Yeah.
Whoever they nominate, it's not going to be like an AOC type who will wear their liberalism and their progressivism and their socialism on their sleeve. It'll be somebody they'll portray as moderate, and then once they get in, will give us, 14 Supreme Court members and 2 more states and change the Electoral College where it doesn't exist anymore. Like, all those things will happen when they blow up the filibuster. So that's something that Republicans and voters in general have to be very wary of, that while what we saw on Tuesday night, the counter-programming was crazy, that's not what's going to be presented ultimately to the American public. It's going to be a bait and switch, just like we saw with Spamberger in Virginia.
Which means the Republicans are going to have strong messaging and straightforward messaging. Yes, you have what the president has been able to do in a year so far. I think that there's an incredible amount of accomplishments there. But if people are still feeling the unaffordability, which is the big word that President Trump hates, but it's a reality for people just trying to make ends meet. How do Republicans get their act together, get their heads out of their rear to make sure that they are straight on the straight and narrow going into the November midterms, locked in on good policy and good politics?
I would just go on the offensive, and I would say, look, these people had their chance for 4 years, and they wanted Build Back Better, which was trillions of dollars in new spending. They eventually passed the Inflation Reduction Act, which even Biden admitted had nothing to do with reducing inflation. It didn't do that. This is what happened when you gave these people the keys, and you had inflation above 9%. I understand that, it's 2.4, 2.5% now. That's still a little too high for some people's taste, but think of all the money you're getting back as far as your tax returns. Think of all the money you're getting back as far as saving on gasoline, where I don't know what it is in Missouri. I know in Iowa, right near you, it's $1.85 a gallon or something. So it's probably not too far away from that in Mizzou as well. So, and that's a big tax break in essence, right? It's something they don't have to spend as much money on. Mortgage rates today, and you probably reported on this, below 6% for the first time in forever. And obviously crime being at a 125-year low. So, maybe you're not spending as much money and you feel safer. And if you give them the keys back, you know exactly where this is going to go. So, yeah, attach everybody to the Biden years that's running in all these races, and I think you'll have some success.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we let you go, Joe Concha speaking with us right now, Fox News contributor, author as well. Check out The Greatest Comeback Ever, Inside Trump's Big Beautiful Campaign. I know you got some more books coming out soon, too. We're excited for those, Joe.
Oh, yeah.
I want to ask you about I know you're a sports guy, and the U.S. men's hockey team, the U.S. women's hockey team. How good is it to see the overwhelming support from the country be like, forget about all of this back and forth, USA, USA? Because I think that this has really transcended into unity in a way that we haven't seen something bring people together for a while.
Yeah, I hate what some are trying to do in media to this story, which is to pit the women's team against the men's team.
Yeah.
Because Trump made a very benign, innocuous joke that, I'll have to invite the women's team if I have you there, too. Like, there's nothing malicious about that. Give me an absolute break on that. And Trump did invite them to the White House, by the way. And Jack Hughes has just been the perfect ambassador during all this. I am a New Jersey Devil fan. My brother used to work for the team, so a little biased there perhaps. But, yeah, in the end, these guys, these gals, they just want to play hockey. They're built differently, right? The St. Louis Blues, you talk to any of those players, especially the one a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
They're just built differently, and for them to be thrown into this ridiculous political football that's been created, that somehow the men's team, they're a bunch of political props. They should have rejected Trump's call, the sitting president. They should have turned down the military plane or State of the Union. They shouldn't have gone to that. It's not a place where, you go on a StubHub and you get tickets for. Like, very few people on this planet could ever attend one of those. I know I never haven't. And that's a special moment. So I just hate the fact that everything gets sullied. We can't enjoy anything anymore. It's another Sydney Sweeney moment where they're pissed off about things where there's literally no controversy, but yet this is what the left does. They ruin everything. They're miserable people.
And the women's team, they are the ones that are being made political props, because I don't really see the women's team coming out and being like anti-Trump, anti-White House, anti-State of the Union. And I could absolutely see the president calling into the women's locker room after they win, saying, I'm going to have to invite the men too. That game hadn't happened yet, so that conversation wouldn't have taken place. But I'm telling everybody to just relax on the women's team. They are being made to be a political prop without even being present. That at least the men's team are acting on their own accord. But I feel bad for the women.
And can I say one more thing before we go?
You bet.
You remember during that call where Trump said, I may have to invite the women's team now. And you heard two players yell two
Two
for two.
for
In other
two.
words,
Yes.
Yep. So they're all into it. Like they're hand in glove, the men and women's team, in terms of them both being proud of each other. So this whole pitting division thing is just a whole bowl of wrong. I'm sorry, but
and I think
yay hockey.
the leftists they look like such losers over it, and
Yeah, they're miserable.
They
You're
do.
right. And wait till the 250th anniversary, like over July 4th weekend. We got the World Cup here,
Mhm.
and we have UFC going on the South Lawn of the White House, and the ball drops in Times Square, celebrating that. That's Trump personified. Like he will eat up that moment completely and own it, while Democrats will look like the miserable ones. And I think that'll mean something eventually. It's a cultural thing.
I'll keep those frog suits inflated. They're going to be needed here for the rest of the year. Joe Concha,
No
thanks
doubt.
for the time today. Good to talk to you.
Thanks, Annie.
Take care. Bye. Joe Concha, Fox News contributor. That book, The Greatest Comeback Ever, Inside Trump's Big Beautiful Campaign, it is a must-have, must-own, must-read experience. I have the audio version of it, which Joe reads. It's such an incredible chronological walk through the campaign, which should, under any sort of circumstances, like when you're reading it, you don't believe that this guy's going to win the presidency once again. But we know how it ends because we're living it right now. Joe Concha has done an incredible job chronicling that experience. And it's like, I always refer to it as a historical document because it really is. The things that happened during that campaign that were wild things, but you've forgotten them now because so many of those wild things took place. Get that book, The Greatest Comeback Ever, Inside Trump's Big Beautiful Campaign. Highly recommend it. He's a great writer. Good sense of humor as well. Ethan Sports and Local, he's been working hard on it all day, which is just what Ethan does. And he told me he wants a lot of time for this segment coming up. He's got a lot to say. He's playing me off the stage. We'll be back in just a minute. Don't go away. Okay.
Wow.
Is that a new one?
I don't think so. I think that sounded like an early one to me.
It sounded
'Cause
almost
it was
a little
like-
too nice. Did
That's why I think it was an early one.
you know that Ryan had his fingerprints on that one?
There's no way he did.
Ryan will be back tomorrow.
Yes, he will.
Sports and local.
I thought you were going to say something about something just a second ago. No?
I
That's
was
not
joking
happening?
with you that I was going to queue up the Marco Rubio comments on Cuba and let you dive deep into that.
Thought you were being serious. I was fully prepared.
Hey, man, you want me to?
Man, I will say just real quick.
There's
I
nothing
saw-
like sports and local and Marco Rubio and Cuba.
I saw a funny video of him the other day coming out of a meeting, and there was a bunch of press, and they're all asking, "How was the meeting? How was the meeting?" And he's like, "Which meeting?" And I thought at first he was kidding.
Yeah.
And then I quickly realized, no, he's being serious. He's like, "No, seriously, which meeting?" And he's like, "The one you just came out of." Like, "Oh, that meeting. It was great."
Oh, that one. Oh.
That gave me a good chuckle.
Ah.
Gave me a good chuckle. Well, we've talked the last couple of days, a good chunk, about Team USA, the men's hockey team, their epic Olympic gold title. And, it is concluded. The Winter Olympics have concluded, and the NHL season resumed last night. The New Jersey Devils played, which is who Jack Hughes plays for, and they gave him a huge standing ovation. They had a little ceremony before. It was really cool watching the fans just receive him last night. And the Blues have their first game of the resuming of the NHL season tonight at home against the Seattle Kraken.
How good do the Blues have to do for the rest of the season to be like in it?
You remember that awesome epic run that they went on last year? They had like the 12-game win streak.
Yeah, I think so.
And
we have yet to have a streak.
No, I was going to mention that also. We are back on streak watch. We're looking to get to 3.
Don't tell Ryan.
We haven't
take it the wrong way.
We still have not gotten to 3 wins in a row in 2025/26 for the St. Louis Blues.
That's brutal.
It is brutal indeed. Thank you, Brad. But that could start all tonight. But how good would the Blues have to be? Annie, they'd have to be better than they were last year at this point. Here's the biggest difference is the
Dug a big
Blues.
hole.
There's so many more teams that are ahead of the Blues right now than they were in a semi-similar spot last year. They're a little bit worse off right now, but there are so many more teams ahead of them than there were last year.
You said you were on. Are we in draft watch?
Oh, yeah.
So I understand that from a football standpoint, but a football season, isn't an NFL football season still 16 games?
It's 17.
17. Is that newer than
in the
than
last
St.
handful
Louis?
of years?
So
yes.
There's a point where you're like, I don't know, I have these recollections of the Rams in Detroit, the race to the bottom in the St. Louis Rams.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point you're like, we're playing for draft picks now. Is it the same? I mean,
Yes. We are.
You're talking about that over the span of 16/17 games. NHL.
We are fully in that. We are fully in that mode, and the reason being is that right now the Blues have the second highest chance at the number 1 pick.
Timeout. Second highest chance. So is
It's
there a
lottery?
lottery?
There's a lottery.
Why do that?
Because they want to prevent teams from
Tanking.
intentionally losing.
Doing what you
Yes.
want them to do.
Yes.
You don't want them to intentionally lose.
don't
You're
want them
just
to-
you're trying to see value in the loss.
I would like to see individual solid performances while losing. And they've done that quite a few times.
When at the
this
end of the
year.
game you're like, good try.
Like, hey, the young guys looked good. They're continuing to progress, but darn, you lost in the last minute. That's such a shame. That's what I want to keep happening. And Annie, you talked about, it is a little bit different than the NFL because in the NFL, those, most of those early round picks, they're going to probably be making immediate impact on the team that next season. That's not the case.
That was my follow-up question.
Yes.
How quickly does a draft pick affect the actual play of an NHL hockey team?
It depends on the draft class, and it depends how early you pick.
Because baseball is usually years.
Yes, but it's getting faster and faster to where we're seeing some in the same year that they get drafted.
Jackson Holiday.
He wasn't one of them, but he was up relatively quickly.
He's quick.
JJ Weatherholt's a good example. We drafted him in 2024. He's going to be the starting second baseman probably for the Cardinals this year.
But still years.
Yes, still that was a year and a half. If you draft, it depends on the draft class how much talent there is, but if you get a lottery pick, number 1, number 2, good chance you're going to be bringing in a guy that could immediately be contributing for your team.
How many NHL teams?
There are 30 NHL teams.
So
32?
does
30?
it go?
No, 30 sounds right.
We'll go with it. Do you go picks 1 through 30 and then picks 1 through 30 and picks 1 through 30? Or people start trading picks around and stuff like that?
You can trade picks. I think it's a snake draft.
I was wondering
but
if
I'm not
if that happens or just in like
100%
fantasy.
Positive. Well, it is a snake draft in I believe the NFL. So it's there's certainly. I don't think it's a bad thing to be keeping an eye on that because you're wanting the team to get the best caliber talent as possible. So there's still a little bit of time until we get to the draft, but will be interesting to keep an eye on. Saturday, the Blues play the New Jersey Devils. So Jack Hughes, Olympic champion,
Gold
the
medalist.
sweetheart that had the game-winning goal.
He's kind of cute.
He's a good-looking guy.
He didn't
got
even have all his teeth.
Great hair.
But that looks like hard work.
Oh my gosh, his hair's
He
so
got the
great.
flow?
Yeah, he's got serious hockey flow. Great
Is
hockey
he single? Not asking for me.
Funny story. He is rumored to be dating the Canadian superstar singer Tate McRae. Did you
Is
know
that
that?
a country singer?
No, she's a pop singer.
Name a song.
Greedy would probably be her most popular one. I bet you've heard it if you heard it played or something. She is very popular right now.
Rumored to be dating as in this would be kind of a newer thing. And now that you've got a hockey gold medal.
Not that new, but new in the last couple months.
My country
It knew me
couldn't
Not
bring it
that
home.
new.
Yeah. But
Not
he's
that
been
new.
how long has he been in the NHL?
Jack Hughes, several years. Him and his brother Quinn are two of the better players in the NHL.
Is he in pre-Olympics? Is Jack Hughes an NHL superstar?
Yes. I would say yes.
I was thinking that he could run for office one day.
Why?
Athletes.
You mean just because of the fame from this moment? You mean?
Yes.
Or, okay. Yeah.
Because and not just from the fame, not just the accomplishments, but he has been the front and center person in this Olympic gold medal for the men, and he has handled the moment so well.
Oh, he has.
So well.
There's been so much noise, and he has drowned it out. And he is just, when asked about it, he's addressed it perfectly.
He is nailing the politics of this moment, and I just thought, mark my words. In 30 years, while you're the associate producer of the Ain't Friday Show still, you're like, this is a nightmare. In 30 years, when he's, how old is he now, mid-20s?
He's probably 25 now.
55? Absolutely. He could run for office. If we still have a country. I don't know what Trump's going to do with it. Just kidding.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see, I guess.
What the heck is that noise? All right. Probably blowing up the station.
now.
Yeah, that checks out.
You want to do one more story before we break?
I'll gladly do one more story here, Annie. Let's see. The Pentagon is currently reviewing and potentially cutting off tuition assistance for active duty military service members at Washington University here in St. Louis, along with dozens of other institutions, following a memo signed by U.S. Secretary of Defense, Secretary of War now, Pete Hegseth. In early February, a U.S. Department of Defense news release explicitly named Harvard University, stating that beginning in the 26-27 academic year, it would, in quotes, discontinue graduate-level professional military education fellowships and certificate programs, end quote, at the school. The news release also stated that the Department of Defense would evaluate similar relationships and existing graduate programs for active duty service members at all Ivy League universities and other civilian universities. Washington University in St. Louis and 32 other schools were included on the list, according to CNN. That also included Brown, Stanford, Yale, and others.
We shall wait and see.
That we will.
Pete Hegseth bringing Boeing back here as the headquarters and stuff, I think is so cool for the area. Super pumped to see what that might mean for the growth here in this area. And I really love the administration coming in to this, just initially when they came in and they're like, we're going to spread out the government departments all over the country. We're going to get them out of Washington, D.C. We're going to put them back in where they matter. Like having agriculture here in the Midwest, super great. Makes a lot of sense. I thought that the Boeing move was really cool. And a lot of investment and attention into Scott Air Force Base as well. All right, quick break. Trisha in the studio with us for Any Are You Okay? Next, back in a minute. The Retirement Advisory Group, you find them online at retirementkey.com. You can trust the folks at Retirement Advisory Group, Thomas Helbig and Bob and Tammy Kershaw. Man, you got really, really great, reliable people who make it their goal to transition you out of work into retirement. So it's a special point in your retirement planning where you do end up saying, okay, I have to shift my mentality right now. If you're 41 like me, you're saving and saving and saving. And then you're looking at your savings like, gosh, should I take some of that back from my checking account? Nope, got to keep saving. So that sacrifice is happening for me right now in my 40s. You've been there. You know what that's like. But you're right there at the end of your 50s, in your 60s. You might have even retired already, but you're not 100% sure you've made all of the right smart moves. That's where the Retirement Advisory Group comes in. They know those smart moves, and they are excited to meet with you to sit down and explain how they can help you. Just make that appointment at 314-993-9494, 314-993-9494, and you can find them online. All the details available at retirementkey.com.
The YouTube live chat poll. Predict the 2026 midterm outcomes. The options: GOP holds both majorities, the Democrats win the House, the Democrats win the Senate, or the Democrats win both the House and the Senate. We're going to be giving the results to today's YouTube live chat poll in about 15 minutes or so. So if you have not voted yet, go to the Annie Fry Show YouTube live stream and vote. And then also text us at 314-241-9797. Share your thoughts on that poll, and we'll be sure to share those before the conclusion of the show. The time is 2:36. This time check sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. Before we get into Annie, are you okay? Obviously, you've heard that Ryan is out today. I want to take a quick moment here with Ryan's permission. I want to read from a GoFundMe that exists. This is where Ryan was today. This is a tragic situation. And I asked him if he would be comfortable, if their family would be comfortable with me sharing this GoFundMe. They have very dear friends. If you remember, Ryan took a vacation a couple years ago where he surprised his wife with a trip to Disney World. Surprised her that day, went and got her from work and said, we're going to the airport. And then when they got to Orlando, they had some friends who were waiting to surprise them. So it was this whole weekend trip that he planned for his wife to surprise her. A little bit of nudging on my part to make that happen. And it was an incredible trip. But the tragedy is that the woman that they went with another couple, was killed in a car accident a week or two ago. Her name is Cecily, and her husband, Corey, and their 4 boys, this is from the GoFundMe page, ages 13, 11, 8, and 6, are facing a sudden loss of Cecily, but also the very real responsibilities that follow such tragedy. There are funeral expenses, everyday needs, education decisions, and expenses. Cecily homeschooled the boys. And the long road ahead as they learn how to move forward without the wife and mother who held so much of their world together. My recollection from my conversations that I've been having with Ryan about this tragedy is that she was 36 years old. She was killed in a car accident, and today is the funeral. So that is why Ryan is not here today. So I'm going to share the GoFundMe for Cecily's family. And I know that you guys care about Ryan, and Ryan and his wife care deeply about this family. And so it would be ridiculous for me to not at least offer up an opportunity for you to bless this family in a time of great tragedy. So I'm going to share that on our Facebook page, and Ryan will be back tomorrow. We've got Brad back. Are you surviving? Are you dead?
I'm not dead yet.
I'm not dead yet.
I'm not dead yet.
All
yes,
right.
there you go.
I feel happy.
Yes. So we're going to be all back together tomorrow, assuming Brad doesn't go under the weather again between now and tomorrow. The whole crew will be back together tomorrow. So we'll stick around for that. And Trisha's here. Hi, Trisha.
And now it's time to play Is Annie Okay With This?
Hi, Trisha.
Hi, Annie and Drew. I don't have headphones, so I don't know if this is working.
Take it away. It's working.
All
You
right.
sound great.
Woo!
Yeah.
All right, I'm just going to follow your lead. Ohio sanitation worker finds police suspect hiding in trash can. A sanitation worker making his rounds in Ohio got an unexpected surprise when he opened a trash can and found a man hiding in there. Dash cam video posted by the local police department shows the worker rolling the bin towards a garbage truck, lifting the lid, and then quickly staggering back before pointing towards the container. Police said the man had fled on foot after a traffic stop. That's why they actually were on the scene. They were looking for him. The video shows the man climbing out of the bin, taking off running as an officer chases him. The man's shoes fly off for some reason, and he was arrested without injury. Annie, are you okay with the game hide and seek?
Used to be super okay with it. It's a great game to play. Now, I grew up in a farm atmosphere, so we would have, I'm trying to think if anybody who was in grade school with me is listening right now, because there are a few possible suspects. We would play capture the flag, which is kind of hide and seek, but we would play it in in our more rural home or whatever. So we'd set boundaries, but it was a large span of space. And I think I've told this story on the air before, but part of our capture the flag experience, I always kind of ended up being like the boys. We had like 3 or 4 boys that I'd always end up running around with them, but they would send me out into the field to like wander around as bait. And
that's crazy work.
What we would do is we would get the stray socks bag out at the house, and you'd get 2 socks. That was your flag.
Yep.
That you'd stick in a belt, or nobody's wearing belts, just your pants or whatever. And I was like supposed to wander out, and like Eric, and Tim, and Aaron, hey Santa boy, and Mike or Jeremy or Brendan, or I'm trying not to forget people. Cody, whoever the group was, I'd get sent out into the field and like draw out the other team, and then they'd come out of the woods. And mind you, one of these guys, who is still a very dear friend of mine, had just retired from the Army and was like a sniper and I don't know, recon and all that stuff, like, that tracks. Like, now I'm like, I get it. I understand. Another one is, I think he's even higher than a major in the Air Force and flies C-130s. Like, these people had plans when they were 14, and I was part of it. But it was like, you go out there, Annie, and then when they start coming to you, just yell like a girl or something like that, and then we'll come out and we'll attack. And I'm like, okay, I'm a team player. Let's make this happen. So I would go out there, and they would usually attack, and we would win. Like, it was kind of something that we had perfected, except for this one time. And we were at Jeremy's house when this was happening, and I'm wandering out in this field, pitch black, dark field, and here come the enemy. And I'm like,
are you nervous while this is happening? Are you nervous being the bait?
No, because we were freaking good at it, and I was competitive, and this was part of the plan. It made
This would
sense.
scare me. I would not
I'm
like
wandering out there, and then the enemy camp is coming and attacking, and I'm like, scary.
Someone help.
Here comes boys, and I'm a girl all by myself. And I turn around, and one of them was peeing backwards in the woods, and the other ones were laughing, and they just let me out high and dry. Yeah, that was...
The saying is, never leave a man behind.
Yeah, no. They
ditched the
sent
woman.
me out for the wolves.
There is a difference.
Yeah, but I mean, playing those games as a kid, kick the can, capture the flag, hide and seek, sardines, where you know that one where like one person goes and hides and then everybody has to go find them. You don't know sardines?
Mm-mm.
Oh, this
But
is fun.
the hider is the first person. So hide and seek is everybody goes and hides and one person has to go find everybody. Sardines is the opposite. The one person goes and hides and then everybody else has to go find them. But when you find them, you have to pack in with them. So you become sardines because everybody has to collect in the one spot. So if we would have 30 people playing out at my parents' house from time to time, or somebody else's, wherever the party was, and you'd go hide in one place, and then all of a sudden you've got like arms and legs spilling out of everywhere, and then there's the last couple people. That was so fun. Oh my gosh, that's so fun. And I'm like, I don't know that my kids know that. That's so sad. They're really good at Fortnite though, so there's that. Crap.
Womp womp.
And Rocket League. Tier. Yeah, go find you a girl that will stand out in an open field and be bait. Charlie. Charlie's like, what'd I do? Charlie's like, hey.
He's catching strays. Holy cow.
I was a catch, dang
Poor
it.
Charles. Fish.
And I'll tell you what, none of those boys thought that I was the catch they were looking for. They're like, she's not a catch,
Well,
she's the
clearly,
bait.
they left you out there.
Yeah, I know. Most of the time they did, but that time they did.
Benefits of sleeping with socks on. This from a hard-hitting investigative report on yahoo.com. Socks can be worn to promote the natural cooling cycle, which occurs when an individual warms their feet. Studies have shown that individuals who have warmed their feet fall asleep approximately 15 minutes faster than those whose extremities are cold, says a California-based certified physician. But that's not all. Sleeping in socks can also help combat dry skin. Annie, are you okay sleeping with socks on?
I went to bed last night with my crew socks on. Now, I love a good nightgown. Now, if you go to Walmart, they have these nightgowns that are like the most comfortable nightgowns. They're just really big T-shirts, and they're super stretchy. They have pockets, which you are obligated to say.
Got pockets.
It's a dress with pockets.
Yeah,
everybody.
and they're just like right above the knee. Kind of a moo-moo thing, but I am down with it. I have one that's a Christmas one that says Mary, and then I got a new one in February that has hearts on it, so I can interchange them.
Your name's not Mary.
Merry. And yeah, wouldn't that be funny? And this one says Joan. But I was cold last night when I went upstairs, and I had these crew, like, I walked out in my nightgown and my crew socks, and Jared just looks at me and laughs at me. I'm like, that's rude. I'm like you wouldn't.
But you could fall asleep with socks on?
I did last night because I was cold, and if my feet are cold, then I'm cold. So I went to bed last night with those crew socks on, and I thought naturally at some point I will take these. I will shimmy out of them at night when I've sufficiently gotten warm. And I woke up with the socks on, and I was cozy. I had a whole active conversation in my head about wearing socks when I sleep. In the last 24 hours.
Well, you were on the side of science, but I could not. I could not do it.
Would you rather have cold feet than socks?
No, you just like burrito yourself in with a blanket.
Yep.
Or you get a heating pad. This is what I do. And put a heating pad under where the feet are. As soon as I come upstairs, slap that heating pad on and let it get toasty down there where the feet are. And then when I lay down, the area is warm and then I can take the socks off. But last night they stayed on.
Interesting.
This is just a no. This is this is levels of evil.
What is it that you have problems with sleeping? Deodorant.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I haven't heard
Ethan's
this
like
story.
makeup wiping his armpits and taking his socks off.
Yeah. I cannot live like this.
I can't sleep.
There's an update in this story.
Oh, good.
I have since changed deodorants to where that doesn't bug me anymore.
So Ethan said on the air that he cannot sleep with deodorant on.
Did I say this or did my wife say this?
Yeah, Ethan's wife told us that.
True. We've had one conversation on the air with Ethan's wife, and it was a fruitful one.
It was like 30 seconds.
No, she's starting to like.
What is she doing tomorrow? Could she come in? Should
I
have had
got-
her in today.
That would have been fun.
Let her sit in and be
she
Ryan.
is beginning to compile.
Yes.
For you guys, just a heads up.
Well,
So
you just bring her
I
in.
am basically cooked the next time.
I love it.
Studio.
Tell us about the weird things about Ethan. She's got a list.
It's like I said, it's compiling. But yeah, no, this
what
isn't
did you?
really
What
an issue
deodorant
for
did
me
you
anymore.
use, and what do you use now?
I used to use Speed Stick. Now I use.
Was it Teen Speed Stick?
No.
Now I use Old Spice.
Is that a
Stuff
thing?
people need to know.
And now I believe it's the Gillette one. I think I
believe
that's
it's
what
the
it is.
Gillette
I think
one?
that's, yeah, I don't know. It is. My wife buys it for me.
Do you know why? She's like, try this, please. But you said you shower right before you go to bed.
I used to, but now it kind of just depends on what's going on. Sometimes morning shower, sometimes night shower.
Oh my gosh.
It just
All right.
depends.
Okay, you got one more before we break?
Sure. Some lady, a professor out of Canada, is traveling with her emotional support chicken. She is in the business
There's nothing that comforts me more than chickens.
chicken, right?
Live chickens.
She studies how relationships with pets support healthy development and uses her own therapy animal, a chicken, to assist in her research. She said, I feel like she's so smart, she can understand my emotions. Yeah, she even created a special little diaper for her chicken friend so she can travel around the city with it.
I mean, that is a courtesy.
Annie, are you okay with support chickens? Like you're
mean-
on a plane
That's a really
and the
good
lady
question.
next to you's got a chicken in a
See,
diaper.
that's starting to become my problem. Like if I'm out and about and
The diaper in public part or the
chicken
You'd rather
in
not
my
have the diaper?
airplane space.
Gotcha. Okay.
But if I am like out and about and someone's like walking down the street with their support chicken, I'm just glad to know.
Restaurant. You're sitting in a restaurant.
Ooh.
No. Aren't
Is that
chickens
considered
supposed to be like the most
cross-contamination?
filthy animals that exist?
I don't know. I don't know much about chickens. But just under
Yard
this, I
bird.
think she can take the chicken anywhere. So it's like your office mate just has a chicken.
No, I got a problem with that.
Yeah.
We got to draw a line. You got to
That's it.
pull out say, in the words of the president, Donald J. Trump, these people are crazy. Let's go to a break. Thanks, Trisha.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you soon. All right, we're going to have the poll results when we come back to your prediction for the 2026 midterm outcomes. Do you think the Republicans keep the majorities, the Dems win the House, the Senate, or both? You can text us at 314-241-9797 and let us know what you think. Don't forget, Odyssey app, stream the station, download the podcasts. Back in a minute. Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. Big pack show today. So if you missed any of the discussions we had with our guests, Hans von Spakovsky, Deroy Murdock, Chad Pergram, or Joe Concha, hit up the Annie Fry Show podcast. You can find it at the Odyssey app, AUDACY, and you can stream us live anytime, anywhere. Of course, on the YouTube live chat poll, we'd love for you to come subscribe on the Annie Fry YouTube channel. That's where we actually hold the results to the science-endorsed poll that we ask every day. Predict the 2026 midterm outcomes. Republicans retain the majorities in the House and the Senate. Democrats win the House or the Senate or both. 314-241-9797 is the text line. We've got time for maybe one or two.
Yeah, we got one here saying from the 314, the only way the Republicans keep the House in Senate is if we have an arrest and prosecution of Epstein file predators. That's one of them. Another one says from the 314, Dems win the House because of low information voters. Last one here from the 708. I think Republicans will take both the House and the Senate. At least I am praying that they do.
All right, that counts. That'll work. We've got a lot of feedback here on the YouTube chat as well. Guy says, I say hold, and I hope it's a record win again for us and the president. So he thinks the Republicans are going to retain. Katie said, it shouldn't be a problem to hold the Senate, but the House is truly up for grabs. As much as I hope the GOP can hold both majorities, I'm afraid the reality is the Dems will win the House. Here's the deal, folks. Before we get to the results of the poll today, if the Democrats win the House of Representatives, this is what I'm going to tell you is going to happen. It's not a surprise that they're going to impeach over and over and over again. When you're going into a 2028 presidential election and the Democrats have been given some power, authority, and opportunity by being given the House of Representatives by voters, and all they do is go after Trump, explain that to the voters in a presidential election going into 2028. It will not bear well for them. Results of the poll, Ethan?
230 votes on the YouTube live chat poll predict the 2026 midterm outcomes. 4% say that Dems will win the Senate. 14% that Dems say that Dems will win both the House and Senate. 20% say that Dems will win the House. 62% said the GOP will hold both.
All right, Mark Reardon coming up next.